Welcome to the No Practice Podcast, where we cover the only sport in the world where there is no practice. With your mini rod driving host, Adam Kester, Tyler Slaw, and Chase Richardson. Strap in for some debates on the world of pulling, exclusive special guests, and a whole lot of nonsense BS. The No Practice Podcast starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what I believe is episode 34 of the No Practice Podcast. We have got a Louisville recap, or Louisville, as some people say, and we're going to be talking to some winners. And speaking of winners at Louisville, I am joined by Mr. Chase Richardson and Adam Kester. Gentlemen, it's been a little while. How are we doing this evening?
Excuse me, I got to take a drink of beer.
Of course. For our audio only listeners, Mr. Chase Richardson.
Damn, that beer tastes good.
Is enjoying a beer out of a select chalice. Chase, would you like to tell people what you're drinking a beer out of this evening?
They give you a what is this called? Like a genie bottle or a beer mug?
A trophy?
Yeah, that's a trophy, Chase. I know you're not used to them, but that is a trophy, sir.
Yeah, well, if you know how long this has been coming for our team and myself, we've been drinking out of this since Saturday night. So after 1 week, it's too long, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that's not the first time you drank beer out of that. I think we even have a clip post pull of you indulging in such deliciousness.
Yeah, I'm surprised there.
Yeah, there's Chase in the suite hoisting the trophy above his head with it full of beer. And Chase, do you want to tell us what that speech was you gave when somebody demanded speech?
I think it was we love beer, we love pulling, we're only good at one. We did both tonight. Cheers.
Absolutely.
In other words, over the lip, through the gums. Watch out, tell me here she comes.
Yeah, no, it was a very special night. It was probably one of the most memorable nights of my life, just to be honest. And when you do fun shit, you're gonna party your ass off. There's no such thing as having too much fun. So
I was gonna say it's so much fun that you chose to wear your fire suit to Stooges.
That's not the first time I've done that, but the other time I was there, I think I got next to last. But it doesn't take much to motivate me, clearly.
Yes, we're seeing a picture of Chase wearing his fire suit to the bar after the event. To
my defense, though, the weather conditions were a disaster Saturday night in Louisville, and just the task of going back to the holler and changing was a difficult one because it was literally a hurricane. So that's the only reason why I did that. But I guess we got a tradition now.
Well, that means you got to win again, though.
That's clearly that. We'll wait another 30 plus years maybe, but we can do it in our 60s, right?
so that was your first final.
One of the biggest pull you've ever been to, isn't it? I mean, you've been going to Louisville since you were a little kid, and watching your dad pull there, and maybe sometimes not even watching them pull there, but you're there every year. So, I mean, tell us what it means to you to win that pull.
Yeah. So my birthday is always around farm show time. I'm a week and a half. February 9th's my birthday, and it's always just in the window of the farm show. We live an hour from the event. Probably literally, I mean, I bet there's 200 to 300 people in that arena that we probably knew on a first name basis because it's so close. And it's a huge event for pullers, as we all know. I mean, they don't have mini rods there, but for any puller that goes
we
there,
know.
just being there is a big deal. But it's our hometown pull, and I think we're the only competitor on Saturday night from Kentucky to win it. It's seen a lot of the best of the best in the history of pull and win that event. So just to get lucky one night and do it, it is. I don't want to downplay it. It is a huge deal, and if it ever works out again, it'll be something that you never take for granted. So,
I mean,
that's why I'm still drinking out of this thing, by the way.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'd keep that going. I honestly expect you to see that. I expect to see you take that to a pull this summer and enjoy a beer out of the trailer. I think
it's going in my dad's man cave because I asked if I could borrow it for this show, and he was like, "What the hell you need that for?" So maybe he's still watching. So
now he understands for sure. Has your dad won there before on the finals?
No. I think we only been to the finals one other time, and him and my grandfather. We all know the evolution of pulling, but they've been pulling there forever, and obviously, we just got back in the two-wheel drive class the last couple of years. So there's a lot of years there where there was no opportunity to pull there. So the stars aligned, it worked out. And when you get on that, when you're in that winner's circle and then on Saturday night, we were talking about this. I was talking about this off air with you, Tyler. Like, it's amazing the magnitude of that pull. Like we all know how hard it is to win and we enjoy winning, but like, it's just different there because I guess it's indoors and, they take time in the winner's circle and so forth. But I bet I had 100 to 150 messages from fans just there watching. And that's just stuff that don't happen all the time. And there's something to be said about the farm show. Like, I would love to get your all's takes on this. That's a badass pull because there's so many people. Like, one thing they have figured out is that, how many competitors are going to be there, how long the show's going to take. Like, it's an entertaining show for fans. Like, there's no wondering if I'm going to get there and see 50 competitors run, this shit's going to get boring. Like, two-wheel drive class is a cool class when there's 12 of them. It's not cool to watch when there's 30 of them, just to be honest. So it's funny how that concept has been very little. There's been very, very little replication of that, but it's
why?
Because it's just a good show.
You know why it's a good show?
Why?
They kind of know how long the track is.
Well, I mean, it's funny you say that. I believe we had somebody call or text into our voicemail with a post about that, as far as how long is the track.
Imagine that. Here we go.
Congrats on your
guns blazing.
Yeah, we've got a text in this past week. Congrats on your win at the Farm Show Chase. Adam, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the full pull distance being set halfway through classes at the farm show, specifically the Pro Stock class. Kevin Schmucker should be absolutely ticked about parking his tractor in the sand, only to be told a couple tractors later that the full pull distance was a foot further than he went. Adam loves to say, we still don't know how far we're pulling. Give me a call and I'd love to discuss with you all. I'll be watching live. Tyler, we're praying for your dad, man. Much appreciated, sir. Adam, your thoughts on the farm show track. You just said that you know how far you're pulling. What about that?
We got a fan calling.
I'm a fan. I'm watching it here as we go here, right? So I think that's why that makes that pull such a success. One thing, everything's over with. Super Bowl's over with. Everybody's watching. There's a lot more people that have an opportunity to see it. It's at a great facility, excellent track. But you kind of know how long the distance of the track's going to be. I mean, I think they decided probably about Thursday evening that it was going to be around 247 was going to be a pull-off normally for the entire weekend. But up until then, nobody really knew it. But let's face it, the reason it's entertaining is because there's a pile of sand at the end of that track. And if you hit it, people go nuts. But cool. When you hit the sand and you don't know how hard you need, you don't even know if you hit the sand, you don't even know how hard you need to hit it to get to the pull-off, if there's a pull-off or whatever they're doing. But I mean, that's one of my only complaints is, but it's what makes it good is that there is a finish line where people know when to cheer and when not to. It just sucks for schmuckers. I hate it for them. They hit the sand and just apparently wasn't far enough. And, but like you said, Chase, that pool, they got it figured out. They usher in tractors quickly to keep the show moving. maybe except for maybe the little congregation at the starting line every time a pro stock goes down the track, where they still haven't figured out all day long how far they're supposed to go or where they're even pointing the tractor at. But if we can get rid of a few of those things, it's a pretty well-run show, my opinion.
It is. So back to the sand pile. So if we pack a pile of sand to Farley, Iowa, or no, that's going to be a great anywhere, to Benson, North Carolina, put it in the track, that's going to make the show better, Adam?
Well, I tell you what would maybe, I know it would take a little manicuring, but at least fill in the hole where somebody punched in the sand pile, so the next guy that aims for that same spot just to go, 6 inches further, maybe it's a little harder for them. You see these guys hit that thing and it rear tires and stops them like it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
The funny thing is it's such a strategic game that these guys are aiming for the spot that's already got the sand, divvied in where the tractor hit. And also I have to say is, like, dude, these tractors are the most beautiful pieces of equipment for racing that I've ever seen. For them to stick it in the pile like that and then to have some guy out there just scraping the sand off the beautiful paint is kind of comical to me. I'm just saying, I would be killing somebody.
Specifically the pro stocks, because for whatever it is in that class, the guys have really just dialed it in and upped, the standard as far as what a good looking tractor is. And those guys have some of the most pristine paint with beautiful clear on them. And then you just see this coarse sand on it. And you see a guy just scraping that off. Or I feel like any other setting, if somebody's dragging like rocky sand off the front of a pro stock, they'd be like, don't fucking touch that.
Don't touch that.
But they're so amped that they just buried it in the sand.
I know. The pits with a scuff pad, like just wipe
it. And I get it. Even the guys are like, hey, don't take the sand off it. They're sitting over in Broadbent and they got the sand. They're like, hey, I hit the sand pile, bitch. Here it is. Like, but it just, I'm sitting here watching, like, I saw Chance McGrath, and I'm not saying every one of these tractors is like the nicest pieces. That I try to have good looking stuff. It is nowhere near what some of these guys are doing. Like, oh my God. And just the details and the beauty in it, like Chance McGrath's tractor, that thing is awesome.
Powered.
But I couldn't imagine just having it all painted up, somebody just scraping sand off the weight box of it. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So speaking of the farm show,
I don't know. It was, it's very entertaining though. They got it figured out there.
Well, speaking of entertaining in the farm show, there was a moment before Chase made his dominant pass, and as I was watching it on the live stream, Chase, walk us through what went on here and what we're looking at.
Oh wow! Well, if you guys know me, I have some self-inflicted challenges. So
you're struggling to get it up, aren't you, Chase?
Third time's a charm.
So what we're seeing is Chase repeatedly attempting to pull out onto the track, as he is the focal point of the live stream. And we see people trying to push the truck up because his tires are just repeatedly spinning, and he actually has to drive forward and backs up again because his tires start spinning. Drive forward, has to back up again. And it took him about 3 shots. And like, I knew already watching that, I'm like, we're not going to not mention this on the next show. Like, I was laughing out loud watching it.
I definitely had it recorded.
Yeah. I think I got a Snapchat from Adam like before.
You're good friends when Adam Kester, after a win of messages of congrats, you dive through it and you see, nice job pulling on the track. I have a good explanation for this. So,
do you?
Yeah. First off, when your tire's spinning like that, you need to grab a brake, which at the end, I kind of grabbed a brake where I was going to drag race it on there. But did you notice that there's no other two-wheel drives around me, right?
Yeah.
Well, so that little hole I was in over the corner, which it got to the track, and then luckily we didn't get DQ for time allotment not getting out there. But we were in a situation that night in the driver's meeting. They said they were going to send the two-wheel drives over. We were second class. They were going to stage two-wheel drives up for the limited pro class. That was the first class. They were going to go in reverse chronological order. And So about 5:20, 5:30, give or take, they started sending 2-wheel drives into Freedom Hall. We were third hook that night, so it went 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and it's the journey of going from Broadbent to Freedom Hall is something fans probably should see. And like, it's nothing overwhelming, but like, look, it's pretty boom, boom, boom. It goes back to them having a good show. They were going reverse chronological order, and they get to 4 and they skip 3. They go 2, 1, and then we're the last 2-wheel drive in Broadbenter. And my team and then Brian and a couple guys sitting there like, why didn't you go in there? I'm like, I don't know. I guess they're doing something different. So they take me on the last 2-wheel drive to go. They go, and it is a monsoon of rain. It's horrible weather, but nobody. You quickly get out of that, and there's a covered awning out the back of Freedom Hall. And I'm thinking I'm going in Freedom Hall like this is a few times I've been there, and then they drop me and sit me outside the door of Freedom Hall. And the part that sucks is that you got to stay with your truck. And about after 20 minutes of sitting outside, all these limited pros are going in one by one by one. I'm like, what the hell? Because you can't warm your engine up. It's 40 degrees outside. It's a monsoon. It's not raining on us, but it's fucking shitty out there. I get out and I go ask the guy that covered the door. I'm like, hey, what's the deal here? He's like, we told him the last 2-wheel drive that, we only got room for 7. The last one's not going to fit in here, so they dropped you here. I'm like, well, that was a hell of a notice to be sitting out here. So after about an hour of sitting outside, or I would say 45 minutes, I went inside, and this is a long-winded version of an excuse for myself. I went inside, and Justin Atchison, who helps run that show, does a great job. I was like, hey, Justin, I don't know what's going on, but I'm still outside, and you're getting ready to start these drivers' intros. And he does a good job, and he finds us a little corner over there where I was stuck in and where I spun tires getting out on the track. So I don't know if it was just a miscommunication or someone can't count or someone was trying to be cute, but I got stuck in the corner because I sit outside for almost an hour. So that's the reason why I couldn't pull on the track. But we got out there and it all worked out after that.
I mean, like Fritz Brick just said, what that sounds like, Chase, is the longest excuse ever.
Yeah, it is. It is, but we didn't get DQ'd, luckily, so it worked out.
Yeah, well, you're doggone lucky that you didn't do one of those trademark Farley, Iowa backups to the sled where you take about 4 tries, because you probably would have ran out of fuel, in all honesty.
Well, I was backed in a corner where I told Brian, I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can get out of here, so you be on standby and then get RJ over there, because RJ sent me at Farley, because if I don't get out of this mother, you know what, like, I'm going to need some help. So RJ, if you can see the video clip, RJ comes in and he always calms my nerves because he's just such a great guy. Then I got out of there eventually. So, but it's all good. It was I appreciate the nice messages from Adam on the ability to pull on track.
You know what it is? Like in drag racing, they typically do a burnout to heat up the compound in their tires for better traction. I wonder if doing, that pull out onto the track, we saw you leaving black marks on the concrete. Maybe that warmed your tires up just a little bit to soften the compound and give you a little bit more bite. And maybe you should get in the habit of like getting a concrete pad and doing a burnout with your truck before you even pull out onto the track.
I think we may have innovated something. We didn't even know it. Actually, It was, did you see the black marks it left?
Oh yeah, I did.
Someone should have took a picture of that if we were thinking, because nobody, I think, ever parked in that corner, but it all worked itself out.
So somebody had it in for you. Is that what you're saying?
It was good for 4 minutes of our podcast. That's for sure. No, I don't think nobody would ever have it in for you, but reverse chronological 87654-213 does not make sense. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's typically not how you count. I will.
There's RJ. RJ, whenever shit goes really bad, RJ's there to help me. And go back and show the video. You can see RJ in there calming me down, telling me what to do. You found out who your friends are. Thank you, RJ.
Yeah, and props to the guy in the red suit, for getting out there and giving you a little boost to get out onto the track.
They do a great job running that event. That's the biggest pull in the world for a reason. It's the people that run it. So I'm sure it was just a mix-up somewhere or another. No big deal.
And we can't give credit to your win without, like RJ is saying, Donald did a great job on the setup. At the end of the day, we got to give him all the glory for setting that thing up. Dialing in.
I don't think these no practice podcast fans know who Donald is. So need to talk about him.
They're going to get to learn. Donald's really the main linchpin behind the operation. Getting Chase to go down the track and be competitive. So, shout out to Donald for doing what he does to get you down there. So.
There's RJ's number 1, Donald's number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
RJ's number 1 now. I understand.
Already. So give us an update on Farmer Bruce. Let's talk about stuff that really matters.
Okay. Farmer Bruce, for those of you that don't know, he was in a bad snowmobile accident on, I believe, the 16th of January, and he was in the hospital for weeks and weeks and weeks. And last Friday, finally, I brought him home, and he is home now from the hospital. He resides mostly all day in his little recliner there that I picked up for him that he's got out in his shop. And so he's home now. He's got a long road ahead to recovery, but he's getting there. He's starting to return to his true self. So it's good to see him back home. He is doggone glad to be out of the hospital. I'm doggone glad to not have to pound 50 miles up and down the freeway every day to go visit him in the hospital in my 40-some-year-old pickup truck. And there's Courtney. Bruce says hi. I'm sure he's watching in his shop right now. So thank you so much to everybody for the kind words, the prayers, the thoughts, reaching out, the cards that were sent. Even some people that have driven up and seen him when he was in the hospital. Situation could be a lot worse, but all in all, he's doing good. So ever so slowly,
Tyler, I'm putting you on the spot. You can give me an interruption for this because this shit is what is really important.
Yeah.
Tell the fans about the story of a fan, the nurse or someone in the hospital. Forgive me if I got it wrong. Of someone sending a card in saying I didn't know the news, heard on the No Practice podcast. Something like that happened after our loss. Is that right?
It's actually somebody that works with my sister. Listens to the podcast and gave my sister a card. She's a big fan of pulling, grew up in the Goshen, Indiana area, and gave my sister a card to take to my dad in the hospital because she heard on this show that he was in an accident. So I thought that was pretty cool, getting the word out there through the show about his incident and even getting a card over it. So that definitely means a lot to him. Bruce is a pretty quiet guy, but definitely lifting him up in all those different manners of support, helps lift his spirits for sure. So
he's a quiet guy, but it warmed my heart. What was it? A couple of days ago, you called me or I called you, and Bruce we were talking, and Bruce got on the phone, and he started pulling because there's some things we're all friends and we're all competitors, but prior to this wreck, I was talking to Bruce and Tyler regularly about some stuff, and Bruce is back on this project. Like it was like what? Wait, how long ago was that? When did the wreck happen, Tyler?
The wreck happened on the 16th, so a little over a month ago. And yes, the funny thing I think where you're going with that is, Chase, you called him like 1 or 2 days after the wreck.
Day after, yeah.
So we were at a hospital like 7 hours north of our home, and I was down in the cafeteria at the time because my dad was sleeping, and all of a sudden I get a call from Chase, and he's like, "Dude, what happened?" And I hadn't really told anybody at the time because, like, I'm not the kind of person to get on Facebook and be like, "Hey, everybody, my dad was in a bad accident." And maybe that's on me. And I should.
24 hours, I think, honestly.
Yeah. And Chase is like, "I just talked to your dad on the phone. He said he was in an accident." And I was like, "He picked up his phone?" Like, I was shocked to hear that he answered it. And the funny thing was, a couple of days ago when you and him were talking on the phone when I was hanging out with him at his place, and he's like, "Wait, Chase, you and I talked on the phone?" And you're like, "Yeah, Bruce, you answered." And he's like, "I don't even remember talking to you."
I said, "Bruce, you were motherfucking me all over." He said, "I'm really sorry." I'm like, "No, actually you weren't. I'm just kidding." But
yeah, it's amazing what the drugs do. Like, he had some people come and visit him, in the early on stages, and telling him afterwards, who all came. He's like, "They came? I don't even remember them coming here." So I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, you were literally like conscious holding a conversation with him." So it's pretty wild how all that works.
Encouraging Bruce. Bruce was already talking about when he was going to drive. He was, I think I'm 50-50 for the Pullers Championship.
Yeah. I would be pretty doggone surprised if he's in the seat of the tractor in the Pullers Championship. I would hope at some point this summer he is. And I tell you what, you do lose some weight when you just lay in a bed for a couple weeks. So old boy might have a couple more pounds on the front end. So
yeah. He in shout out to the Pullers Championship. It's and Adam and I got voted in.
Yes.
What a cool process they have of fans voting and getting you in there. And
yeah, that's another poll that I feel like does a good job restricting the number of entries in each class and keeping it, fast paced. So even if there's a class you might not be a fan of, you don't have to watch 30 or 40 of them. So shout out to that. And I say we throw it out to our fans and listeners what the bet or challenge should be between the three of us.
Speaking of bets, let's
so
bring it bad dreams here.
Similar to the truck show, which
I
formally
keep it here in the background, so I always remember.
that's good. Formally, we can announce, I feel like, that the truck show is in fact not happening this year because of a series of events or situations, which I guess we won't get into at this time. But I feel like that's when this started, when Chase had to eat a incredibly hot chip when he did the worst out of the three of us. And this summer, the three of us will be competing at the Pullers Championship at the beginning of the season. So give us your ideas, whether you type them in the comments or call into the voicemail or text, on what it is me, Adam, and Chase should wager that the loser has to do on the episode following the Pullers Championship. And
we have a few months to talk about that.
Yeah, we got some time to think about it. That fan hotline number is 302-272-5360.
Yeah. Adam, what's new with you, bro? Outside of being a dad times two, congrats. It's no secret, it's on Facebook. So,
yep. Facebook official. So
what else is new? You have all kinds of new shit, new babies, new tractors.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff going on. First of all, I got to bring up. Sorry, my internet was really bad there for a minute. I had to redo everything. But first of all, I just want to say I want to pass some condolences on to my aunt Donna and my cousins. Bradley, Steph, and Wes. My uncle passed away this morning. He'd been battling some cancer, and he was kind of like my dad in a sense. Like, he really put the racing gene in me, probably more in my dad, because I have the picture, and I tried to find it for tonight, but there's a picture of a homemade small block Chevy and a homemade chassis pulling a Chevy Love pickup right in front of our house, neighbor's house here, and my dad's standing there staring at this tractor while Rick, which was my uncle that passed away, and the other neighbors standing there. And you could see right then that, like, my dad knew right then that, like, he had to get into the sport somehow. So he was kind of definitely the guy that planted the seed. Him and my Uncle Rick and Aunt Donna, they used to pull too many rods. Like I said, just state, not even, just brush pulling, state level, local more than anything, but kind of got my dad in it. So I'd be wouldn't be doing anything if I didn't mention him. Probably wouldn't be here today for what he did.
Family, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah,
appreciate
I was not
that.
Yeah, this morning we kind of knew that he wasn't doing good. I sure gonna miss him. He was awesome. He was responsible for so much stuff in years, like his son Bradley and self and his dad and all them. Like, that's where the sheet metal on the tractors was created. My dad's ideas and them making it happen. And Rick always painted stuff and just was always the big motorhead of the family. Him and my dad really hit it off good. So I'm gonna miss him a lot. I got some new tractors that I picked up here. I don't know, it was last week. The days are running together. I can't even keep up with stuff, but I got some new tractors last week, and I took the one I ran last year, which did really good for us. I took it up to Brad's because we had an unfortunate incident that happened at Bowling Green last year, to where myself and Toby are loading the tractor up. I'm pushing him in the trailer, and we have E-Track on the floor, and you have to put the inside of the wheel on the E-Track to go right in between the fenders, because these modern chassis, you got wide fenders on them, so we're pushing him in at Bowling Green, and he got the outside of the tire on the E-Track, and we just absolutely crunched the sheet metal in on the black tractor. And Brad Corporal does an awesome job. They're double layered, they're really thin, so it was big damage. We got through the end of the year, kind of made it look good with some PDR. So at the end of the year, I took the tractor up there because Brad's building 2 new ones. We wanted them copied, and I'm like, let's get him to build a new set of fenders for this tractor so that all match, all look good, no
Sounds
damage.
Nice.
So I go up there, I load everything up. He finally got everything finished. He did a great job on everything. I get home, I unload the first tractor, go to get the second one. The black tractor, just got the new fenders and its stuff made for. Start rolling the tractor out the trailer, and it was kind of icy, raining. I slipped and fell, and I guess I pulled the
Ooh.
steering wheel, and that tractor came down the ramp, and it crunched the other side of the fender of a brand new set
Ouch.
of fenders. I'm telling you, dude, like I pretty reserved. If somebody was there, they wouldn't have want to been, because I was very mad. Still am, like really pissed. I just can't have nice things. And I think there's some people out there that probably understand that. You try really hard, you spend a lot of money. I just spent, I don't know, $2,500 getting those fenders fixed and didn't even make it out of the trailer.
I think the moral of the story,
screwing
Adam,
them up.
is if you want nice things, don't tractor pull.
Yeah, it is. It is very hard
Jesus,
to have
tell
these
me.
things and run them as hard as we do and move them around as much as we do and not have them get beat up. I mean, I'm still running fenders that are kinked from when I threw my tractor on its side at the truck show when or not the truck show, the Pullers Championship when I wrecked. And it's just like, man, part of me wants to fix that, but it's just like, I know as soon as I do that, I'm going to freaking roll the thing on its side again, and they're going to be rolled up again. So I have a lot of respect to even you, Adam. I mean, most everybody's stuff looks nicer than mine, but like you keep those things looking impressively nice ×3, mind you. And those are machines that you actually use.
Look at our comment from our last guest. Shout out to him, Tom LaRue.
Hey, see, if you look over in the corner of on the right there, you can see the little dimple in it. That's just a part of the issue.
Like Mackenzie says, my dad, Tom LaRue, previous guest, always says we have to bring things down to our level right away, Adam. So you buy a new truck, you take it home, you got to door ding it right out of the gate. So just get it out of the way, and then things are down to your level.
I think that thing.
The funny thing is that I crashed the other side of the tractor, right? Like that's what happened. We crashed the other side. We got it all fixed. Everything's good. If we didn't do it to the other side this time, it's like, what do we do? I mean, it caught the wire.
That's a 30% cut on the price if you want to sell it.
You know what? Here's what Brad felt so bad about.
As if it's his fault.
Tell him because, well, exactly. Well, I dropped it on him late. I took the tractor up like, hey, Brad, look, I'm not gonna say I'm a picky guy, but I really like my stuff to look nice. I said, I know you're busy, and I've already thrown this second tractor in on you, a while back, and you're doing it. Could you find? And I know he does not like making fenders. He hates it, I think. But I said, could you build me a set of fenders? And he did, and he felt so bad because my brother-in-law told him, and he said, Adam, I can discount. I said, you're not discounting anything, dude. That's my own stupidity. Like, you're not to feel bad at all. You did your job. I'm an idiot. So we're going to get some PDR, paintless dip removal, try to fix that. And there's probably going to be some Bondo in it. I don't like the extra weight of the Bondo or whatever they're going to put in it, but we're going to make it look good. We're going to Jesus Christ.
Someday if you lose a pull with that tractor by like 100,000ths of an inch, we're going to be like, yeah, if it wasn't for that Bondo, that would have been a W right there.
Yeah. The ballast on the left side of the tractor.
I think I'm going to find your bumper sticker and put it
I did it
over the top.
The good thing is I didn't hurt myself. Like I knew that this thing potentially could run me over, which, it's a 2,000-pound tractor. I'm not going to say it wouldn't hurt. It probably tears something up. But when I fell down, my focus was to get away from it and lo and behold, the cable on the trailer door caught it for me. Thank God. Huh? I would have taken getting ran over in a leg or something.
I don't know. You can't buy new body parts for $2,500, so I think you got the better end of that.
I can limp for a little while though. It's okay. I'd get over it.
Well,
Jesus.
Again, condolences to your family. Your uncle had no idea, and
yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
It's
I kind of sprung it on you late there.
None of this is more important than family, and we give each other a hard time and we heckle and we have fun, but what Tyler went through with Bruce and just the day-to-day, we try to have fun because nothing's guaranteed. So thoughts and prayers to your family, brother.
Yep. Appreciate that.
On to some more less somber topics, Tyler.
Yes.
We have some special guests.
We do.
In the works. This is a different format than No Practice Podcast.
theoretically 3 guests this evening, gentlemen.
Yep.
We are already 35 minutes into this, and I can't even hardly fathom that we're going to have 3 individuals joining us if all goes well. Chase, do you want to lead us into kind of this build up and this intro of what our first and potentially second guest is all about on this subject matter?
Yeah. So fans may not know this, but you probably may have seen enough things online, but there's a practice in the sport of pulling that's very, 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 very rarely taken upon that happened this week at the Farm Machinery Show called a protest. And I can count on one hand, probably half a hand, how many times I've been a part of an event that's seen this happen. And me, myself, and I know you guys have just a lot of general questions where our protest is. Like, so rather than get on here and spitball back and forth and throw darts against the wall, I thought that we thought that this would be a good time to just go into the art of a protest and pulling, and who better to bring on to do that than a gentleman who helped construct the rule book that pulling really abides by on both sides. Previously worked with the NTPA, now works for the Pro Pulling League. Very kind to join us. The Doctor of Tech is what we're calling him on this podcast, Mr. Larry Richwan. Larry, thank you for joining us. How are things your way, Larry?
My pleasure. Sitting in a lazy boy in a camper in Florida, and it really shows off my multiple chins. I'm glad Bruce is home, and condolences to you, Adam, on your uncle.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And Chase, you look real good drinking beer out of a trophy.
The topic of me don't really matter compared to these guys, but when there's non-somber things, we like to have fun. So thank you, Larry.
Well, I like to have fun too. A protest isn't fun.
Yeah,
you want to know
come right in on it. Explain. We have a lot of fans that watch this. I'm sure you've heard that don't always know about pulling.
Oh, yeah.
Explain what a protest is from the Doctor of Tech. Dr. Tech is your new name. What is a protest?
Jeez, could we review the name for Larry? I mean, could we be Many Chin or whatever? I don't know. A protest is something that fellow competitors can do in that class if they have a question as to the legality of one of their other vehicles running against them. If you're not entered in that class, of course, you can't file a protest, but it must be filed depending on which sanctioning group it is. And now, of course, I've been involved with the 2 major ones. And I don't know what the outlaw procedure is, but I know it's got to be similar to what the other 2 do. Either way, it's got to be in writing, and it has to be with the appropriate fees that different organizations charge for different things. My former employer, they have a price for fuel protest, a price for cubic inch protest, et cetera, et cetera. And PPL has a version of that. If it's fuel, it has to be filed before that vehicle leaves the arena of competition. And then they would, of course, quarantine the vehicle to the side, draw a fuel sample, et cetera, et cetera. But whatever that dollar amount is, they have to post and give in writing to the either head official or competition director, or they can even turn it into the entry fee, depending on which, or entry trailer, depending on which group it is. And then they can radio the track and say, hey, we got a fuel protest. And then the officials could pull it aside and, place it somewhere else. You either have to do it on fuel, like when they are on the track before they leave the arena, and anything else can be done either before they run or after they run. The one that happened in Louisville was done before the second session. And at that point, the vehicle was put over the corner and watched by either an official or everybody else in the world too. And then whenever it's appropriate or whenever the officials have time to, they use whatever means necessary to determine the legality of that vehicle. In my 30 plus years of being the head butthole, police, chief of police, whatever you want to call me. Yeah. Well, like I said, the head butthole is more appropriate. Anyway, overqualified. We had a cubic inch test check on 2 vehicles at the same time in Bowling Green. on cubic inch. And so we put them in two different buildings, and I assigned a licensed official that wasn't but necessarily flagging or working to stay in there with that vehicle while the owners tore it down. One thing about a protest, it was never meant to be and never has been a fishing expedition. First off, when you hand it in writing, you have to hand, I want to protest this, whether it be cubic inch, whether it be overall length of the vehicle, whether it be
So
fuel or water.
basically, what you're saying is you can't say, "I know there's something illegal on that tractor. Find it."
No, it's not a fishing expedition. You specify what you're looking at, and if they find something in the meantime during the protest, it don't count. The officials may make a note of it because sometimes we see stuff. I mean, I've seen stuff in the lineup to tech area and went in the tech barn and said, you might want to look at this when it gets up here. But nevertheless, no, you specify the item in question that you think's in question. You write it down, you put the money up, and wait for the head officials or a committee of officials or whatever to determine the legality of that vehicle. Now, if the vehicle is found to be legal and whatever they specified is not in violation, then the guy that was being protested gets the money because he was legal. If the vehicle is found to be illegal, the guy that violated it, of course, he gets thrown out, and the guy that brought it to the attention gets their money back. However, there is in both organizations a clause that talks about they do have to keep, or they don't have to, but if they choose to keep some of the money, whatever the protest fee may be, towards either use of the shop or use of the equipment or blah blah blah.
Or Uncle Larry's time.
Well, no, I've never paid. I've never paid overtime. But you're on the right track. Yes. The inconvenience of having to pull the vehicle to the side and look into it. The sanctioning body or whatever can keep part of the funds, and then the remaining funds either go to the protester or the protestee, whichever's appropriate. And once it's determined that if the violation is true and they prove it is not worthy of being legal, then that vehicle is disqualified. If he's run at that event, let's say it's between sessions, he'd be disqualified for the session he's already run, and any points or money would be taken care of. The biggest problem I have with protests is once somebody protests, let's say it's a 1 day, 1 session hook. Once somebody formally protests in writing, puts a fee up, it's up to the sanctioning body to determine if and when and how they're going to determine if it's legal. And that puts all the purse monies for that particular class on hold, because you may shake up the whole order of the event because you can't do it instantly. I mean, a fuel check you can pretty quick, but as far as anything that has to be torn down, it'll hold the checks up possibly for a couple days. I mean, there's a lot more to it than I just think this guy's illegal. And the fees used to be $500 across the board, no matter what it was.
Well,
by today's standards, $500 is no money by today's standards.
Let's talk the other side of it. Not only is there financial fees, but there's also a statute of a person, like morals, like or whatever. Like you go up there with the idea that somebody's cheating or illegal, you're putting your neck out there on the line because you're going to accuse somebody of cheating. If they're found to be legal, then it's on you.
Right.
If they're found to be illegal, it's on them, and that's a huge blow to either side. So even the congregating before, I mean, and this is kind of maybe what we're talking about, when you're going to protest somebody and you have to look at this from such an angle of like, this is a pretty small community, everything, but you're also calling the people that they do business with cheaters also. Whether it be a tire, a chassis manufacturer, an engine owner, or whatever. And then not that, take somebody that's got a legacy like they do and sawing them down. Or it's always going to put a mark on the character, whoever's accusing, either it's the protester or the protestee, whatever you say. It's such a huge blow on that side of things too.
Which
it's damaging to everybody's reputation, not only the one that was in question, but the one, if let's say, either way, somebody's super pissed is all you got to say. If they're going to take the money and the time to protest them, they better be damn sure there's something wrong, or that specific item is wrong.
Which they've already went a long way,
right?
I think before it gets to there most of the time.
One of your buddies and ask him if you can take his wife to dinner. Somebody's gonna be mad at the end.
Which is probably why we see this happen so little. Larry, how many years have you been doing this, and how many times have you seen this executed?
Collectively, I've been the head of tech and safety for 32 years.
How many protests have you witnessed?
4-bolt main Hypermax blocks, supercharger overdrive, probably.
Do you even get one a year?
2 at Bowling Green. I'd say less than 10 in 31
Okay, so
years.
on average, about one every 3 years, a little bit less. So this does not happen often at all.
No. And if I was a fellow competitor and this guy's kicking my butt and I'm sure he's doing something, I'd want to be damn sure that that's what I think he's doing or I've heard he's doing. But like I said, that's why the fee is no longer $500. $500 by today's standards.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I'm not going to tear my engine apart to prove cubic inch for $1,000. You know, I wouldn't go do that right now. Let alone
I would do that to Adam just to screw them.
Yeah.
Well, and that's also, what even if you think he's legal, to tear him down and jack with him because he's got to take his motor. That's like I've seen fuel protests and cubic inch protests the most, and we don't tell him he can't pull till he tears down the engine if it's a 2-day event. We would say you pull today, and then we'll tear you down, because if you're found legal, that guy just screwed you out of the hook.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why the checks have to be held to the points have to be held.
Hell, man, I've been accused of cheating 2 years ago. This is funny. Our family was, and I'm like, we weren't even running good that year. Like we were, hadn't won a single pull, maybe in the top 5 a little bit. I'm thinking we can't be cheating, because if we were, we're the worst damn ones on the planet. But like, there are a lot of questions out there. I mean, at the end of the day, you look at this thing and we're all a bunch of happy-go-lucky people. And then competition gets involved, and then you start getting some emotions and things. And I mean, it hurts to spend a bunch of money and think you're doing everything right. And you're supposed to win, like we've put the money, time, and effort in, and we should be doing better than we are. And sometimes this doesn't happen.
Wow.
Some people have money and win, and you scratch your head. You got people that don't have money and win, and it's like, man, what is going on here? But it's definitely something that's happened the entire time this sport has been happening.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
1969, the first NTPA rule book was written when they consolidated into one group. And you'd have to ask George Everett to make sure, but I'm sure within the first 2 years, they developed a protest system, because, it was, that guy's cheating, and I'm sure that, I'm sure George could tell you, because every rule in the book, no matter whose book it is, either has a name or blood on it. And you've heard me say that probably, but it's true. So somebody cheated, and somebody took the initiative to say, hey, well, that son of a bitch is cheating. Well, I'll put the money up, whatever it was. And that's probably how it got started. I don't know, but I would assume.
Yeah, Chase tries to cheat whenever we put these little bets between the three of us, like the chip challenge and stuff. He tries to cheat so we don't have to.
Well, no, actually, before you got on, Larry, we were asking our fans for the upcoming Polish Championship in May. I'm sure you'd probably be there. Of what a good bet would be. I just hit me. I think whoever wins between the three of us is going to protest the other two for engine teardowns. I think that's perfect.
Please no. Please no.
And they have to pay for it, right?
It'll cost them, but I won't profit a bit. Damn it! But no, I happen to have actually watched you eat that chip, Chase. I watched that night you were eating it, and I was watching previous of the day, and I'm thinking, these bastards are going to protest each other. When you said what would be a good thing, I actually thought of that. Jeez, oh, Pete.
And we're not saying that it's not a bad thing. I don't think. At least I'm not. I think protesting's great.
I
Well,
think it is
more of it.
the potential of it, besides being humiliated, ridiculed, whatever, in front of your peers, or branded a cheater for the rest of your life. Besides that, the fact that there is a process there basically keeps people
Yeah,
honest.
I like that.
None of
The,
us,
hum-
the cheaters, don't
the
want to.
humiliation
honestly-
factor's out the window. We do a podcast every 2 weeks. We're already humiliated.
Yeah, I feel like that is crazy if you really think about it. The fact that that's only utilized once every 3 years ish. Like, what Colin had wrote the question: what percentage of protests are successful? Would you say? Like, how often do you actually find somebody out of those 10 times?
Two times in those
Two out of 10.
may have even been 12 protests, but 10 come to mind. But only 2 times have it been proven that whatever the person was complaining about and put the money up, said that bastard's cheating. Only 2 times in my lifetime has anyone been caught illegal. But now,
we don't have to name names, although
I wouldn't. I won't name names.
Tell us the topics of protest where they ended up being true.
Cubic inch
every time.
But I know what class it was.
Both of them.
How do you even test for cubic inch?
Well, we don't. We
don't.
We hardly ever do it anymore. But the pump in the engine, pump a cylinder times 8 for cubic inches. That's not allowed in the protest. You actually have to remove the head and measure bore and stroke with instruments. Now, something I might add too: nobody sees this inspection, but the people that have been protested and the officials.
Sure.
Nobody gets to watch it being done. Nobody gets it measured. And one that comes to mind that you all know about, after the protester and the protestee had been proven that this is not illegal, I said, any of you arrest you guys want to know, here it is, come look at it. It's legal. Because they're always going to say, well, Rich Wine's got friends. Rich Wine don't have any friends. Hell, he don't even. Anyway, but seriously, long story short, I never have conducted a protest of any kind where it was just one official or just myself saying it's legal. Always get a bunch of witnesses from other officials, and that way it's definitely legal or illegal. But we try to do it professionally and quietly, but at the same time, it either is or it ain't.
How about this, Larry? Somebody put up, Wesley Foster says, I think a protest is fairer than someone wanting to tech about another competitor till tech does the inspection for free.
Yeah. Well,
put the money up.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I've had people. Oh yeah, I've had people say, "Well, you ever checked on this guy?" Well, no, but once again, I don't forget, and my other guys don't forget. And then next time you tech them, maybe you look a little harder at that item. Now, one time in my life, I refused to take a protest. They said, well, you can't do that. I said, the rule book don't say that I can't do that, but I refused. This, Ernie Connors taught me that phrase. I refused to take the guy's money or the note what he's protesting because I knew damn well it was legal. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to do that. We're not going through the bullshit. I know it's damn legal because I've measured it. And that was an overall measurement of the vehicle is what it was.
Okay.
Larry, can you speak of other motorsports where protests exist, or this concept of protest where a competitor, like, I don't know, honestly, this answer the least bit, but I hear of teardowns in NASCAR. Is there any other sport where a competitor can say, I'm putting this money up to go make sure that guy's legal? Is that, do you know that anywhere?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's still in drag racing, but it used to be NHRA and IHRA both had a procedure to do such thing. And I believe NHRA at the time said, well, if we're going to measure or check whatever this guy's car, we're going to check yours as well.
Oh,
yeah.
So if I were to,
you better get ready for the inspection.
So if I were to say
same
Chase's engine is too big, you say, okay, that's fine. We're going to check Chase's engine, but we're going to check yours too.
Correct. And I'm pretty sure that was the case at NHRA. And that's also a deterrent, but the days of using the pump when they used to pump like the number 6 cylinder every time they pumped, that cylinder might have been smaller than the rest of the cylinder. But I mean, it's happened. I know a buddy of mine who used to race small block. We're talking 50 years ago, and number 2 cylinder was always smaller. in cubic inch limit.
Ask those antique
Yeah.
pullers. Ask
You
the
mean the
antique
guys that's
pullers.
got
Those
gallon
cheapest
paint
back-
cans for pistons? Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But no, it's unfortunate that we have to do that. But like I say, in the dozen or so times I've done it, I only actually found 2 that were illegal. And
Now, while I'm thinking about this, just so everybody knows, you just doesn't, you don't write on a piece of paper. You have to you have to get paperwork, correct, from the organization to
yes, they're
fill out.
supposed to. Depends on if the organization has it to fill out. If not, if it's written on a piece of paper specifically what it is with the date and the money with it, I know it has been accepted in the past. Not everybody has printed
Okay.
forms. I mean, NTPA is pretty good about having all the forms in the entry trailer, and so is PPL. It's just a matter of where you're at, what you're doing. I mean, you got to remember those aren't the only 2 sanctioned bodies in the world. So,
Sure.
So
it's got to be in writing and
We're gonna see a rash of protests.
paid in cash. No checks. No.
No checks.
So
No-
in a
no
pinch,
debit cards.
No checks.
in a pinch, you could use
Nope.
a bar napkin and a crayon.
I suppose if it was legible.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
With the key is with the cash in the appropriate times, either before it runs the second session, 1 or 2 times it had to, well, like the fuel thing before it leaves the arena of competition. I mean, you don't you don't protest anything else, and then they have a chance to change it. That's why the vehicle would be watched or quarantined until it had a chance to be evaluated whether it was really legal or not.
Larry, you don't have to answer this question at all, but you're here, and in your personal opinion, just of the overall betterment of the sport, if there was more people that would just say, "Hey, I'm just going to go through this procedure of protesting like the professional right way, and instead of just bitching and running my mouth behind the scenes," like, do you think if people are more straightforward with that, that'd be better, or would you rather not even see that happen, or do you not? I'm not encouraging
Well,
you to protest, but like honestly, it's all like it's one of those things you hear about. Like you hear the term like, "Oh, protest," but like honestly, it's pretty black and white. And if you do it professionally, and it's not a personal attack on someone, it's just rather than going and talking and being mad about this and that and stirring shit up, just go. I mean, $500 ain't shit or whatever it is. Like, just go
not
do it
anymore.
and then find out. And then, hey, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Here's $500 for your time.
Well, you know, I know
You
where
don't
you're
have to
headed to,
answer,
but
you don't have to
some of
answer.
those take time. I mean, if you protest fuel and it's found to be illegal on site, and you really want to take it to the next level and appeal it, it's got to go to a lab or water. I mean, it's got to go to a lab that can actually be determined what it really is. I mean, infield test will determine whether it is or isn't within parameters of what it's supposed to be. However, uh, you can appeal that depending on which organization. There's an appeal process, and at that point, whoever was found in violation says, "By God, no, my fuel's not bad." He has to be willing to put the money up the cost to be sent to the lab. So that's another thing why it's inconvenienced and hold the checks and hold the points and just on and on and on, the things that are not good about it. I've done tech schools before. In fact, we're going to incorporate it in a few more this year for Pro Pulling League, where we actually have we measure a tractor or a truck, and it's real simple. You find the center of the axle, front and back axle, either way, and with a level in the bottom of the wheel, and drop a plumb bob. And that's the center of the axle. And if you're measuring overall length, you drop a plumb bob over the front weight bracket, furthest most point. Wheelie bars, you drop a plumb bob at the back. Drawbar, you drop a plumb bob through the hole that actually hooks to the chain, the point of hook. And then you roll the tractor away because you put a marker where that plumb bob went, a little triangle marker. And you roll the tractor away. You put a string across from side. There you go. String across from side to side and measure the appropriate spec. That right there is a good indication. There's a great big a great big nut on each end of a string, and you put it across, and then you measure where the plumb bob dropped through the drawbar to the string. Now, yeah, you can argue which side of the string you measured on, but damn it, a string ain't going to be over an eighth of an inch. That particular item right there was an eighth of an inch long. Had we measured on the other side of the string, it would have been the 18-inch, which is the spec. So there's lots of things like that. I mean, a lot of tractors have been measured at Fort Recovery on the tennis court. Besides weight, I actually seen before I took this job in '93 at NTPA, I seen a head official not allow a guy to pull because he was an inch long and
Story of your life, right?
couldn't get shorter. That particular
Couldn't pull.
the
'cause it was
official
too
didn't
long.
work for NTPA starting the next season because Mr. Schreier said, "You really ain't going to let him pull for an inch long?" And the head official at the time said, "Nope, he's not legal." And you know that man never was issued a license again. But long story short, I was an official, but I wasn't the presiding official, head official. And I'm thinking, no, you shouldn't do that. That's not good. Tell him to fix it before you see it again. But that's been my downfall.
Shorter, right?
Huh?
You
are?
The hitch can be longer, just not shorter, right?
Correct. If you can't pick the front end of your tractor up, make it as long as you want. It's got a minimum to the center of the axle.
Right.
It can't be any shorter than that. The picture you had there, it's 8 inches is the spec, and everybody thought it was shorter than that, but
18.
it wasn't. You can make it longer if you want to do wheelies all the time. It's just one of those deals.
Right.
Adam's father was
I mean,
Adam's father was convinced.
I remember.
He thought the Russians. He called them the Russians. We won't say who they are. Had short drawbars, and he actually had
We
your
know.
cousin or somebody make an apparatus we used and gave to me. Marvin's got it now,
And it did catch
did.
somebody.
and
did
it
catch
also sent
somebody.
people back in the line that was yet to be measured to modify their system. Anyway. But
Yes.
Marvin's got that apparatus now, and I should probably build one like it for the group I'm working for now. But it's amazing. And rather than protest, he built a piece of equipment that is intended to catch them, and we did. So I guess
And it was just a loosely based idea. Like, look, like you said, a 16th of an inch probably
No.
isn't going to be the
No.
difference in
the mini rod at 8
it's
inch.
for
and the
more
mini rod at 8
drastic.
inch matters.
No, it is. You're right. In a mini rod, everything's
Oh, yeah.
magnified on them. But I'm just saying, like, people are, that thing's an inch and a half too short. No, it's not. Like,
Well,
it's
on a mini,
right
you
there.
couldn't get it that much shorter because the
But
pig.
I remember, yeah, I remember Ohio State Fair, and when every tractor, you went over there in the afternoon, every single tractor got the tires taken off of it, put up on jack stands or what have you, or up on the ground, and they measured everything.
And they had the person, and that's
tractor.
called a super tech. And all groups try to do that once a year, maybe twice. But the biggest problem with that, Adam, is personnel. Do we have enough people, enough time? Unless you've got a
Right.
2-day show where you've got a lax in the action for the afternoon between the 2 days, there's not much opportunity. I mean, and if
Right.
somebody rolls in late, I always look at him with an eyebrow raised. Do you have a flat tire up on the trailer, or did you just come in late
Yeah.
so we didn't have a chance to check it? I mean,
I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him. Last year at Bowling Green, I was in the top 5. My stuff got teched right out there
Yeah.
in the yard, and I just rolled it out there. And I said, if it's illegal, it's Brad Corbell's fault.
Wait till I get
Which
a
it
hold of you
wasn't.
this summer.
So
Yeah. We see the
Okay.
comment here from Wesley Foster. Have any of the no practice guys ever been measured at a pull by tech? I don't know how many times
Yeah.
at Fort Recovery on the tennis courts, the whole class would roll through
Oh,
for
yeah.
a super.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
There's been
Many
a couple
times.
PPL pulls too, especially because we build our own stuff. People have came over and measured it on a cement pad. And I mean, our
Right.
stuff is always right there, but it's also right there as
I have
illegal.
a great story I'll share with y'all. And my dad is a kind of a quiet guy, but he's funny when he gets involved. Larry, you were there for this. We were measuring mini rods, and we built the first, with Brad Corporal, the first ever modern mini rod was ours. And
Right.
they look a little different now, but the first ones we had, there was a little knob out the front of the weight box. Like it was flush, but there's a little knob. Larry, you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And the measurement is from the front of the weight box to the back of the tractor. And we pull up there, and the gentleman at the time was an official, but he was not. I would call someone that you see all the time running tech inspections, and he was very opinionative that knob there. And my dad got a sledgehammer out of the back of the gator and went and hit the damn thing. Said, "Boom! Is it legal now?"
Yeah, I can testify as a true story, boys.
And then, needless to say, we didn't have that problem again.
Right.
Yeah, but then they make a rule like this in the mini rod class where you talk about that knob to the front of the weight box, but you can have this 3/4 inch fucking hunk of steel out there on the front of it. As big
6
as
inches. You got a 6
toe
inch
hook.
allowance for toe hook, gentlemen.
Yep.
Actually, I lied a little bit in that story. He got the sledgehammer out, and they said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm going to hammer this son of a bitch right now, make it legal." He said, "No, don't do that." He didn't actually hit it, but he got it out of the gator. So
I was there when he threatened to do it. Yeah,
he said, "I'm taking a sledgehammer and make this legal real quick." But anyway,
he's quite a guy. He's quite a guy.
Yeah, he's something. He's a funny, good dude. So, Larry, appreciate you coming on here and
My pleasure. Anytime.
and sharing. Last question I have, and Adam and Tyler might have one.
Okay.
I'm good.
If you were, I know you've been involved in all sides of it. If you had to change one thing with the protest procedure, would you change it, or what's your thoughts on that?
I'd probably make it even more cost prohibitive. I mean, you're going to have to be damn sure that guy's illegal to fool with him. I mean, I know now some of them are $1,200, some of them are $1,500, but when that rule was originally $500, that was probably like a fourth of what it is today. You know, that money's $500 is a couple grand nowadays.
Yep.
Come on, Larry. We got a guy with the $700,000 tractor that wants to prove a point that because they're going to win $1,500. They can.
Well, so far he hasn't said anything. He's just worried they'll find out why his tractor didn't cost $800,000. Yeah.
And Larry, the procedure, the Farm Machinery Show, because this is going to be another question we've had. The Farm Machinery Show, in terms of rules, can you speak of what rules they follow and procedures, or because
they actually have their own set of rules and procedures, and I mentioned to them that we really need to publish those for next year. So they really follow both groups, NTPA and PPL. There's a lot of parallels, but you can look at individual rules and you can see where they actually favor. But as far as the protest, the way it was handled, the way it was conducted, was right in line with both. In fact, there were the head official of both groups there, and a representative of that group that actually puts that event on, and myself. There was 4 of us that actually did that protest checking, and procedure was done correctly. And that's why I said everybody after the 2 parties, protester and protestee, seen it. That's why I said anybody else get over here and look if you want to look, damn it, because it's legal. Yeah. But it was done properly. When it's a group like that that's blended, you about got to use everybody's rules. But
oh god, Larry left us.
Oh. Yep, a little bit of a.
Larry, you there? We lost.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
When you got both groups and we lost you.
Both groups are blended really well into what they use. And I mentioned that maybe they should actually print and publish this set of rules for the procedures that we do. But there's very little difference, if any, other than the cost of it. Everything else is exactly the same.
If there's one piece of advice you could give somebody how to properly protest, what would that be after what you saw this past weekend?
Well, I don't know that it was not done properly this weekend. I know that the people that put the money up thought it was late before it actually got checked, but it doesn't mean they're going to drop everything they do and check this guy's tractor. They got to have time. But the best thing is be courteous to everybody and put it in writing and put the money up and give it to the appropriate parties and say, man, I protested this guy or whatever, but I'm not saying he's illegal, but I just don't think it's right. I mean, I don't know. Either way you go, their emotions are going to raise and the blood pressures are going to go up. Somebody's obviously pissed.
Sure. All right. Well, Larry, we can't thank you enough for your time. I like to ask people stupid questions on here. So before you go, I'm just curious, would you have trusted the first man that ate a lobster and been the second guy to eat one?
Well, wait a minute. I'm talking to Tyler. Tyler. Now my head hits the recliner. Anyway, yeah. I don't eat seafood because they swim in their own poo. But just because some bitch is dumb enough to eat it, I'm not sure I would have.
That's fair.
Later, privately, I'll tell you my two rules on eating things later and private. But I don't think I wouldn't have been the second guy to eat a lobster. No.
I've often wondered that because I love lobster, but they're intimidating looking creatures. So I don't know if I could have been number 2. So I don't blame you.
Yeah. Don't they scream when you throw them in the boiling water?
I don't know. I've never cooked a live one personally.
They do.
Okay.
They
Well,
do. Yeah.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Larry,
All right.
Anyway, guys.
Dr. Tech,
Thanks.
it's been amazing. We've actually have a ton of comments saying we should do this segment more often. Maybe we can figure out a way to do this. But the
Start protesting, folks. We'll get on here.
No.
Larry, you give me a lot of information how to go about protesting Adam and Tyler, and I'm going to do it professionally. So thank you.
No.
All righty. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Yep.
Safe
Thanks,
travel.
Larry.
Thanks, Larry. That was really cool. I like that.
That was
really
very informative, and I feel like it will be a pretty good segue. Do we just move right into it, do you think?
Sure. I mean,
I
obviously, we want to talk to the guy that did it and, get his side of the story on everything. And,
I do want everyone to know, though, like he made a point that they do a good job. The Farm Machinery Show is a unique show. They do a good job of blending both people. Mike Witt is the guy in charge. He does a great job. And, if you just have one party in there and not the other, that would probably not be a good look. So having all the representation there is a big thing, and shout out to them for doing that.
You know what you always say, Chase, is there's 3 sides to every story. And I believe we just heard roughly one side to the story, which leaves at least one more side to be told.
Yeah. So we
without further ado, our next guest here, the man himself who did the protesting, Mr. Dylan Owens. Dylan, how are we doing
Welcome
this evening?
to the program.
Oh, you're muted.
I think you're muted, bro.
Yep.
Good there?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
there
yeah.
now.
You're good now.
Guys.
How are
Doing
you?
good.
Good. Sorry about your loss, Adam.
I appreciate that,
congratulations, Chase, on you and Brian's weekend. Very
Thanks.
well deserved.
I'm still drinking right here.
And I'm glad to see your father's doing better, Tyler.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dylan.
Dylan, tell us, let's just get right into it. Tell us your version, front to back, start to finish. The floor is yours.
Yeah.
Well, this has been going on for a couple of years, I guess, in our eyes. We chased now this is just for backstory, so maybe you guys can understand why I did what I did.
Okay.
So we chased mod points hard. I mean, we were state level competitors. I mean, my father and grandfather took off a long time. My grandfather got sick. We got tractor pulling again to get him out of the house. And then he passed away. We went for a couple more years and then took a break to grow business. We come out a couple of years ago. We said, we're going to come out. We're going for what we always want to do. And we hopped right in Grand National. And we chased, at this point, we chased points hard for 2 or 3 years. Our first year in, I think we finished 20 points behind Brett. It was our first year into it. We ended up second, but whatever. Year 2, we were chasing Brett the whole way, and we came up 1 point short. If we would have tied it, we would have won it. Year 3, we left Bowling Green, and we were in the league going into Sandwich. And well, at that point, I mean, I think at that point there was five or six different winners in the class throughout the year, and it was a miracle that we came out of Bowling Green with the points league. It just happened that way, and we go to Sandwich, and Average Tractor, well, obviously Simon's Tractor, puts 20 foot on us both sessions, and we were kind of dumbfounded. And at the end of the second session, now this leads up to what happened this weekend, we had reason to protest something that night. Obviously, emotions were really high. I mean, it was 3 years of us chasing the championship with a lot of effort. Emotions were high. We had a valid reason. It was something different that we wanted to protest. But we went up to an official and asked to protest it right after that hook. Immediately, right after that hook. And we were told, no, we don't have time for this. Ain't nothing wrong. We got shot down really hard.
Really?
And it was a real kick. But, we got over it and whatnot. So there's the backstory to it. So last year, yeah, we didn't run much. We didn't do this or that. We were, it was an unexpected year of unfortunate circumstances between the engine breakage and whatnot. And whatever. But anyway, so that tractor was pretty dominant again most of the year. And whatever, it is what it is. We went out. We got a couple wins. We got our ass kicked a couple times. All good. Fast forward to Wednesday. Everything's fine Wednesday at the farm show. Everybody makes their runs. Everything happens. Everything's fine. I thought we made a mediocre run. I did not expect to be in the finals for Saturday, but it's just how it worked out. So at this point, we're grateful. Thursday, we're just doing our maintenance. Nothing happening, and the whole time, I mean, it wasn't us at that point. Everybody else in the class is, talking in the background, speculation. Like you guys, I was listening to the show prior to this. I mean, like you said, everybody's always talking about somebody in the background, but nobody's ever doing anything. And
Right.
Yeah, name the names of the people who are talking in the background, Dylan.
I'll leave names out, but pretty much the whole rest of the class was talking about it, and it was just talking about what's this, what's
Sure.
that, what's going on, this and that. And I don't know what was going on. And Friday just got a little bit more escalated, and I've been in I've really been in just I don't give a fuck position. I don't care what people think about me. And so Friday after the pull, it's just been eating at me. And from that moment from Sandwich when I got shot down, and we got some other points we'll talk about later. But anyway, we go. I go into the pit building after the pull on Friday night, and one of the head officials there, and I said, "What is the proper procedure to protest here?" So he says, "Let me go talk to Mike White, and come find me in the morning, and I'll let you know." So I was in there at 8 o'clock Saturday morning when the doors open. I said, "What'd you find out?" He said, "You got to go in the office to talk to Mike." So I have never talked to Mike one time before in my life. I mean, obviously, I seen him at the farm show, but we've never spoken. And I walked in there and asked him that, and I was the biggest butthole that walked the face of this earth the rest of the day. And I was calm, my calm, and I kept my father calm the whole time. We did not get out of line whatsoever. And this guy was just throwing names down my throat. Who's putting you up to this? He said, is it Sullivan's? Is it doing this? Is it them? Is it this? I said, there's one guy standing here right now. I'm by myself. I said, I want to do this. I'm just asking what the proper way to do it. So he tells me, I got to write down what I'm protesting, this and that. And I don't know if this is true or not, but maybe he was just trying to scare me off of it. And he's like, it's going to be $1,500. Well, when I looked in the book, it was $500. But whatever. I was out to do what I was going to do. So I go back, I write my thing, I go back to the office 10 minutes later, and now my father's with me. And this guy he's just yelling at me. He is pissed that this is bullshit. I said, am I doing something wrong here? I said, I've been coming here for 15 years since I was a kid. I said, I've seen protests done here before. I said, all the officials are here. We're inside. We're on concrete. It's first thing Saturday morning. You have plenty of time. What am I doing wrong? And he's just pissed. So now it's $1,500. So my father goes to write him a check, and he said, I'm not taking that check. He said, you're gonna cancel it. That check ain't no good. So that insults my father. So he starts to say something. I said, Dad, I got it. Just let it go. So I whip out $1,500 and count out $1,500 cash for him. And I think he was just trying to scare me off again. And in that moment in time, I said, you know what? I just thought a check was more professional in this day and age. We have to write a check for our entry fee down there. I was going to write to Kentucky Fair Board Expo, wherever our entry fee goes to. And whatever they decided would go back in the points checks or the purse check for the weekend. And he stated $1,000 goes back to the winner of the protest and $500 they keep for themselves. Whatever. A little pricey for a 10-minute measurement, but like I said, I was determined. And now, like I said, he was pissed, throwing names down. Nobody put me up to it. I was there by myself. I was tired of the chatter. I was tired of everybody talking about it. I had reason myself to believe what was going on. So I just wanted it measured. That's it. I told him then, I said, right or wrong, I just want it measured. I want to squash this whole thing. And that's what I did. And I went and sat by myself the rest of the day. I had work to do, and I minded my own business. And I would have thought they would have done it right away. Like I said, this was at 8:15 Saturday morning. It's still quiet. Driver's meeting for the noon session not till 10. It's a simple measurement. Let's do it.
Sure.
And they waited all day. And as they waited all day, I watched, other competitors go back and forth. RJ and Brandon go back and forth. Well, mostly RJ. Brandon didn't come until later in the day. And everybody's just I could just see everybody, getting angry and pissed off and talking about it and this and that. I'm just like, this is what I want it done right away. Because now rumors from everything are going. I mean, Brad from Modern got called and said that I said he put a illegal draw bar in, which never happened. It was just the rumor mill got going in the weight, and it got way out of control. So then they just were finishing pro stock class in the afternoon session when they finally measured it. So we waited 3/4 of the day, and so they take it around to the other side of the building where our class wasn't parked, and the afternoon session was going. The building was pretty empty, and all three officials were there except for Mike Wick. Mike Wick walked later in on it as it was already going. And he told us that nobody would be to watch it. Nobody's around. Everybody had to stand on the other side of the building, which I thought was bullshit. I thought at least Brandon or RJ and I, the protested and the protestee, should be able to at least watch it, seeing how I put the money up. But whatever, we all got thrown out to the side. They did their thing. They pulled forward, and they measured it, and everything checked out. We were asked to come look at it. Everything checked out. Fine. I thanked the officials. I said, thank you. That's all we wanted to know. And then from there, things escalated.
Sure.
I think RJ and Brandon's emotions were running high because then, Larry asked the other competitors to come look, and nobody's really listening. Well, then they got a little heated and yelled at the other competitors to come look. We stayed quiet the whole time. We were already back. We walked away. I said thank you to the officials, and I left it at that. And then whatever happened, they were yelling them, and then another competitor's helper got involved with. We're by ourselves, but then some yelling and hollering got going on, and then this will all happen in 4 or 5 minutes, and then Mike White comes over, and Shannon Leshner was standing there. I think some Sullivans. I don't even know. Some Bollingers weren't even in the building. Lane and Steve weren't even in the building. We were standing back by our tractor, and Mike Wick came out and just anybody that was standing there threw him out. I was like, what did I do wrong? I asked you this morning. I said, am I doing anything wrong? What is so against a protest? I said, just because nobody had the balls to put up the money and actually protest them because their name is Simons and they're afraid of whatever might happen afterwards. I said, this is bullshit, and I got thrown out. So from being in the Saturday night finals, from taking a legal protest, I got thrown out for it, and we packed up and headed home. And then I know Shannon got in trouble he had nothing to do with it. He was just standing in the building, and he got thrown out, wasn't allowed to help Jeff Hurt that night, and he did nothing wrong. I believe it was one of the Simons called Bill Leshner and threw him out of his pole. He was just standing in the building. Lane and Steve weren't even in the building, and their tractor got thrown out. But obviously they had a conversation and got that fixed. And it got into a messy situation real quick, and I just went about it how I was told. So I think protests should be done more often without people being scared of repercussions. And like you guys were talking before, I get it. Like an engine tear down is a big deal, and yeah, that would piss off or bother somebody because that's a little different. I get that, but it was a 5-minute measurement at most. It wasn't that big of a deal, and it got out of hand. It really did.
So I guess what you're saying is that the politics of the, I guess, situation or how it was handled, was that the politics I mean, obviously you're not happy with how you were treated about the whole deal. But,
I don't care about the protests, right or wrong.
Okay, yeah, no, we're obviously we know that that's all set in stone. Obviously, the issue is with everything else, right? So, like, that's why we kind of had Larry on to kind of go through the whole situation of how this is supposed to go and be, presented and worked, so everything is as translucent as possible. Yep. So, I guess the politics of the protest. One, you didn't get treated very well when you wanted to bring up a protest, which, like Larry said, it's happened 10 times in what?
30-some years. 30
how many times?
Years.
In 30-something years, so it don't happen very often. And then the fact of how easy the job and stuff it was to do all of that. So is that the politics that you're talking about, or is there another story there that is not being seen?
I just don't.
You know what I'm getting at?
My biggest problem was with Mike Witt and the way he handled himself. I was told, other people asked officials about doing it. I asked about doing it. I was told to see him, and I was supposed to do a protest. My eyes, there wasn't a better place to do it. We had all the officials there, both sides, on concrete, inside, quiet morning. Where are we going to get that opportunity outside to do it? And I wanted to put this to bed.
I'll agree with that. So first off, I'll give you credit for one, not only owning it in your Facebook post, saying anybody that has any questions, here's my cell phone number, give me a call. I was the one behind it, nobody else, and I give you props for coming on here and just laying the story out there. And it is what it is. And I
felt really bad after we left right away. And I felt, things with Bollinger's got really emotional. Lester's got thrown out of their pull in Iowa, and he got thrown off the track. And I felt really bad. Something I did. These people, the Bollingers were really emotional. I'm like, guys, these guys had nothing to do with this.
That is
a simple protest.
That is strange for sure, given that information. But I give you credit, for throwing it out there and for putting up the money and just saying, all right, enough talk and enough BS, let's just get it over with. I'll give you that for sure. And I kind of agree that I feel like protests should be done more often. With all that being said, based on what you just said, clearly you saw the results and it is what it is, right?
That's all I left it at. And I'm not, that's not the part I was upset with. What happened afterwards got extremely out of hand for no reason. It really did.
Dylan, I echo what these guys said. This is, I don't mind having these conversations, but I understand it's hard for people to probably do it. So kudos to you for coming up and just, you protested. The protest didn't go through, and you're willing to come on here to talk through it. So respect you madly for doing that. But at the same time, you probably know me well enough, or like I'm a three sides every story person. I'm a devil's advocate, so I'm going to ask you some questions that I have, and I'm just an outsider looking in on this. So why you all ran Wednesday night? The finals are Saturday night. The vehicle's sitting there all day Thursday, all day Friday. Why was the timing of the protests on Saturday morning? Because I'm putting myself in Mike Witt's shoes, and we talked about Mike, they run one of the best events in the all of pulling, and he brings all sides together. But he's probably, I'm not speaking for him at all, but like if I'm him, we have a noon session to get ready for. We have Saturday night. This is the most stressful day of the week. I'm getting a protest now on Saturday. Why was the timing of doing a protest on Saturday the way it played out? Or
I think the just the buzz and the pits in our class, I finally just had enough. And I said something needs to be done about it. And I think it just built up on me inside enough, and I just wanted to know.
Do you
I wanted to put it to bed.
Do you think if you would have went in there Thursday morning, and I'm just asking, Mike Witt's not on here and he can't take up for himself, and he's a well-known guy and does a great job at this event. Like if this had been done Thursday, you think the reaction would have been the same?
Maybe. I got in trouble for not doing it Wednesday night. I really have no feelings for that. Like I said, we tried doing it a couple of years ago. We were told no for a reason. And then when I asked him Saturday, he's like, this should have been done Wednesday night right after. I was like, well, I didn't, because last time we did this, we got in trouble for whatever reason, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
So
for him, that is the biggest pull. Like there is such a spotlight on Saturday of that event. This guy doesn't do this every day of the week.
yeah.
And I could probably, I'm not, there's three sides to every story. I say that 100 times a day on this podcast, but I'm just looking like maybe the reaction you got was the timing of it. I don't know. It's not for me to speak. Mike can come on and talk if he wants to.
Well, with
about
that
all
being
this.
said, Mike really didn't do much with the protest. The other officials did. Mike came in, saw the final result, and pretty much stated the conclusion of the result. Other than that, the other officials handled the entire protest that were already in the pit building through the day. So I don't know. Is there ever a good time to do it? No.
Probably not.
No. I don't. I'm have no feeling one or the other. I'm just asking questions that fans are going to ask, and we're here just to. And we're not here to piss anybody off or stir shit up, but like these are things that we all love this sport, and we all know there's a lot of cool shit about it. But this is stuff behind the scenes that like. Right, wrong, or indifferent. This is pretty interesting. Just to be like, we don't even know what a protest is until tonight, and now we're hearing this, and it's interesting. But I'm just asking just general questions that I think would naturally come up. The other thing I wanted to ask, and you don't need a comment. There was some rumors, and rumors are like it's like the farm show flu. Some people get it, some people don't. Right? Did any competitors measure that tractor that you know of, or besides tech officials prior to?
Yes, another competitor helper supposedly did it.
Okay, so it wasn't you guys; it was somebody else's helper.
No, I had bought a support vehicle that came with that tractor. To later find in a compartment of the vehicle was a drawing of a short drawbar.
It's like national treasure.
And I looked at this drawbar forever, and I finally sent it to somebody, and they said if that drawbar was in my tractor, it'd be 2 inches short. I didn't know. The tractor doesn't have a modern drawbar in it. It's got a different drawbar in it. It's got a 2-hole drawbar in it.
Oh.
And like I said, there's been buzz about it, and I was just tired, and it was eating at me. I wanted to know.
That's fair.
And you had that right. You had that right. Now, I don't think we're not here to beat you up or say right, wrong, or indifferent, but this is your opportunity to speak, and I think you're being heard loud and clear. And I can't compliment you enough for willingness to do this.
Well, I guess there's just another question then. Do you still think there's something illegal on that tractor?
That's a big question, Dylan.
I think.
I'm sorry. I mean, obviously, if it's been happening for 2 years, was it always
honestly.
the hitch, or is there something on that you just think is illegal?
I'll answer it honestly. I find it sometimes very hard to believe that a tractor go from average tractor mid-pack to all of a sudden 20 foot out front in front of the rest of the field, and for a while then come back to be an average tractor. 90% of the time my head is like, we'll just go next weekend and we'll just try to beat them fair and square. And I've been living with that for 3 years. But I just, like I said, it built up in front of me. I had this drawing of this drawbar that somebody did at one point in time. It's got a different drawbar that the tractor didn't come in with it. So I've heard it's a 2-wheel drive drawbar. I heard it's an England drawbar. I don't know. Like I said, I was tired of it. It was $1,500 to find out and just shut it up. But everybody else in that class was afraid to protest or say something there because they were afraid of not getting invited back to Louisville, or the politics behind it, or the repercussions of what would come from it. And I said, I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Yeah. I spent $1,500 at PBR.
And you had some drinks.
Yeah, no. And we'll for coming on here, can't wait to see you back and drink again. You made the comment earlier about protests, and honestly, we've talked about this as off air. Like, maybe this is something that should happen more. Like, we just need to say, hey, instead of going in the pits and bitching, as you said, Dylan, let's just go protest and just put the story in. And you made that decision, on Saturday morning or Friday night, whenever it was.
Yeah, and emotions got high and some stupid comments from him, but I'm not talking shit about your back. I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's been chatter, this and that, and it just got to me.
Yeah.
And
well, there's a lot of outside voices out there that here's what I've always been told. And this is, I'm not trying to pass anything down or let you know, like, whatever, but like, this sport is very humbling to people. I think this sport is a good enough of character that it will chew bad people up and spit them out. I think it's a sport to where if there are erroneous characters out there, they will come to a head and they will get weeded out per the pullers. Now, I don't know. There's been big questions about big names in every class. You make yourself wonder, are they cheating? Are they not? I've always kept the mindset of I have to be better than them, even if they are cheating.
Nope.
And that's a hard thing to, come up to, because a guy like themselves goes out and puts $50,000 on superchargers on that average tractor. It may not be average this year, or hey, he's got newer engines. Like, it's just, and it becomes a money pit of emotion, really, more than anything. Is like, guys spend a lot of money, and you've ran hard, you've done good, you've done bad, you've constantly done good, expect to do better, and it gets to everybody. But just buckle up and get your shit better. You know what I'm saying? Like, just if you think they're cheating, then you got to make your shit better, regardless if you can do it or not. I guess is
or if you got
my point is.
If you have $1,500 to tell everybody shut the fuck up, just give them $1,500.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no, like I said, that I agree with that. And you took a gamble. It did not turn out good for you. I just hope it didn't hurt your image too much and people understand what you're truly trying to do there. You know what I mean?
I just, like Chase just said, I wanted to shut everybody up.
Sure.
I just wanted to put it to bed. And I believe I had to go on the pull-off page and squash all those comments.
Oh.
And
is that still a site? Is that site still up?
Unfortunately.
What was being said on there? Fill us in.
I think we helped their numbers every time I mentioned it. I thought it was I didn't know that still existed.
Like I said earlier, guys, when you do this stuff, this is a big shockwave. When you call out somebody like that, and the tractor came from longs, are you throwing longs under the book? Are you throwing corporals under the book? Or are you throwing whoever does the drive line, modern, the chassis builder, the engine guy, the supercharger guy? I mean, when you take shots at people, it goes deeper than just that competitor. And I think that's
Dylan, I'm
it's gonna be
protesting.
tough. Hey, dude, I'm glad you protested them, because it made you know that they don't. That at least that ain't illegal, right?
It's messy no matter what.
The tractor's doing good.
And what I wrote on the pull-off page, I said, when Steve Torrance won like 3 years in a row there, and they protested him, and I don't know, maybe they did it on their own, NHRA, maybe they do it differently, but he got on the TV and he said, we're going to take this as the biggest compliment you could possibly get. If they can't figure out how to beat us and they got to protest us, then take it as a compliment. If you're truly doing nothing wrong, it was a huge compliment, and I shut up all the bullshit about it behind the scenes.
Yeah, in a perfect world for me, every pull Simons go to this summer, they'll have a different color painted hitch at every pull, and you'll protest them at every single event just to make it the norm.
Well, Dylan, I'm going to protest Adam and Tyler as much as I can this year, because I know what the process is, just because I can. And
hey, Chase, your family almost just run everybody through the little situation with your dad and what he said about the mini rod class after the engines were
the sledgehammer.
No, the Noonans, when the Noonan engines come out.
Oh, I think we said that for another one. That involves our buddy Ken Vinny. We'll talk another day.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to protest the entire class.
We'll get Dave and Ken Vinny on there. They can talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. I mean, but that's part of it, man.
They all can get on there for that. That'd be a good episode. But Dylan, again, not easy to do.
Not easy to do.
Major respect for you coming on here.
I've
the
got one.
They're hardcore competitive people, and I honestly think, you know, they're the type of guys that would take a protest as a compliment. I don't want to speak for them, but you know, you could have just set a trend for all we know that, hey, the sport of pulling needs more protesting. I'm not saying it does, but at least you backed it up and didn't run around and chirp about it. So that's
I didn't watch Saturday night, but I guess the interview was pretty arrogant and pointed towards me, and I'm like, I just did what nobody else had the balls to do. I'm just the asshole of the day. That's all that was.
Yeah. Well,
we
need another guest. We're all assholes, so you can join this podcast anytime if you want.
I guess I'll just say it. It seems like there was a lot of weird things around it, and emotions were running high, and some feelings got hurt. But I can appreciate somebody just saying, enough talking and enough nonsense and squabbling about it. Let's just do it and get it over with. So, and I give you props for saying that. You know, you protested it, you see the results, you accept them, and it is what it is. So.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was told to ask you a story about Mitas tires. You got a story about Mitas tires?
Which story?
Something about getting a free set or something like that?
Oh no. Well, I mean, me and this whatever. Obviously, us and Simons don't get along too well, and
idea, brother. Had no clue.
It bothers me that they try to be the most professional people they are and try to put the most professional event on. They lost their cool after the protest started yelling at anybody. They had the most arrogant interview the other day. A couple years at Bowling Green, they told everybody to fuck Mitas tires when they won Bowling Green on a Saturday night. And the next weekend in Sandwich, they're on their tractor. What?
That's not where I thought that was going, but fair enough.
I had no idea that's where that was going.
I want to, I guess for lack of better terms, I want to defend Brandon's interview. And like, it sucks for you, Dylan, and I get it because it was directed at you. But I do think it is good for the storyline of pulling, having some controversy and some things to talk about. As far as
absolutely.
I mean, we've all done it. We've all done the interview where you get up there and you say, I'm just truly honored to come in first with such a tough group of competitors, and so on and so forth. Like, it is kind of cool when you get a little sassy up there. And I would encourage you in the future when you're doing a winner's circle interview, don't be afraid to get a little sassy back, even if you feel like it's
Peacock.
No, I'm the one. I get right back to work. I start doing valves and checking filters. I don't talk to anybody. Let's do it again tomorrow.
Okay.
I like it. Respect.
Well, when you run hard, I've tried everything, Dylan. I used to be so serious about it, and then I became unserious about it, and then I go back to being serious about it. The emotions of the sport get to you so bad. Like, I've won everything and I've lost everything, and it fucking eats me up at times because everybody puts a lot of effort into it, and we all want to do good, and we'd like to think we all get along, but we're competitors. That's why we come back we didn't come back to hug and drink beer and pat each other on the ass. It's called, only ass patting is going to be done when I spank it when I go buy it, right? So,
well,
I'd love to see you in a two-wheeler, Adam.
What's that?
I'd love to see you in a two-wheeler.
Two-wheeler? Hey, dude. Hey, I'm open.
I'm fucking with
I would like to run every class, honestly. It'd be cool. They all have their own challenges and everything.
Dylan, we gotta ask, what are the chances we see an additional protest before the end of this season?
Like Larry said, you better be pretty confident about it. I was confident about it, and I don't know if I was more confident about it or more just everybody talking about it. I just wanted to shut it up.
Shut everybody up.
As far as
shut up.
as far as whatever unnamed rascal was climbing on their tractor, laying underneath of it, whatever, measuring it, you don't condone that sort of activity?
If it's a rule, we asked an official to measure it because it was a question, and we didn't think it was that big of a problem because it's a rule. I want to condone measuring somebody's, setup, hitch height, checking tires, a setup. But I mean, we asked an official to measure it, and they weren't doing it, so people got fed up and did it themselves.
Sure. So is that a condoning?
I don't know. I would say that's a gray area.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer.
Okay.
I would
Fair
say
enough.
measuring drawbar height is no, but a rule, well, whatever.
Okay. Fair
Well
enough.
said,
What
well said.
What was the lamest part about visiting the Eiffel Tower, Dylan?
It's very touristy.
Yeah.
It's very touristy.
Was anyone protesting out there?
And the line. No,
What-
it was New York.
Cool.
It was probably
there
an
any-
hour and a half
is
line
there any
in the
question-
freezing to get in that tower?
Oh, geez, you waited an hour and a half for an Eiffel Tower?
How often you go to the France, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Do you have any
Never.
questions for us before you go?
We've been hard on you. You got to fire back at us now.
Yeah, we've been hard on you. You gotta
I probably ain't got much.
have something.
I mean,
You want to pull a
chase,
mini
I
rod?
thought about buying one.
Thought about
I
buying one.
actually called Brad asked about that one. Yeah,
It's a good one.
I'll sell it to you, but I'm protesting your ass. I'm kidding.
No, I couldn't be happier for
I'll back
for
off.
Brian and getting that 2-wheel drive win in the farm show and Chase. That's a great guy right there. And I'm glad Chase has partnered up with him.
Brian's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, best of the best
The best.
for sure.
He's the
Yeah.
best. What's on the 2025 schedule for the Owens Motorsports Group?
Well, I really had no plan, but somebody else in the class be wherever Simon is and try to get him beat and chase him down.
Hey, man, that's hey. When we run, I want to beat the best. If Adam Bauer, we went back and forth about Adam Bauer for a long time, and hey, talk about you're beating a guy that's on top of the world all the time. I mean, that guy was really tough to beat. It goes in swings. Good. Oh, your dad says no mini. Come on now. Come on, Dad. Let's go.
I would actually love.
I think it'll fit in between in the tractors, maybe in the ceiling.
I'd actually love to go to that Maid's Power Pull overseas because we can't make 8,000
Okay.
with 5 motors, but that's 9,000. And
Ooh.
Yeah, you gonna strap a 5th one on your tractor and run it in the unlimited, or what? You ever thought about that?
I can't make the weight here, but I can make the weight over there.
Okay, I feel like that's some foreshadowing then. You gotta drop a 5th bullet on that tractor, shove it in a shipping container, and go for a plane ride, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's this June just to see what it's all about.
There you go. Well, hey, thanks for coming
I
on.
say it's crazy.
Thanks, Dylan. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Thanks for
Thank
owning
you,
it.
guys.
Props to you for that.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
I give him credit. I don't think there's too many people that would protest and then come on here and just lay the story out there.
We need to make it clear to our fans so that the talk about someone going under the Simon tractor measuring it. So the dynamics are different at the farm show because every other event we go to, the vehicles stay back in our pit, right? And at the farm show, they stay in broadbent in a controlled area. If someone came to our pit and crawled on our tractor, start measuring like shit without asking us, we'd probably go Kentucky on them.
I think Dave would get the sledgehammer back out and pretend they're a hand knob on the front of the tractor.
I mean, we're nice people, but we would probably go Kentucky on them. I'm just being honest. So like, it's different. Like, it's not. They didn't go to the Simon's trailer and pit and crawl under them, and Yeah, that's probably just something that, and like I don't. Again, there's three sides to every story. I don't know
No.
what happened, but that's
Well, like I said, this sport's a pretty humbling experience. I mean, if there's going to be slip ups if there are ever anything like that, it's just going to happen. I'm sorry, we're not watching Dexter here, and he's getting away with it for that long.
Yeah,
But
I do feel like, in my own opinion, like I realize Simon's tractor is pretty dominant, but from my standpoint, and I don't know much, I'm just an idiot, but you can't take away the amount of effort that those guys do put into it. And so to me, I don't know how weird it is that they're kicking ass. I mean, you can hate those guys, you can love those guys, but they put in the effort. They got a good crew, they got a good team. They stay up on their tires, they stay up on their motors, their blowers, and I mean, it's not like you look at what's happening there and you say, they've got XYZ, it shouldn't be performing that way.
hey, Tyler, here's even a standpoint that burns me alive. I built the engines for that tractor, and I can't even do that good with them. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes you go, what are we doing here? I mean, these guys are like making your stuff look better than you can.
Yeah, I feel like, Adam, maybe the new cover photo on MBR Racing Engines should be a picture of the tractor that said, "Warning, may get protest because of performance."
No, dude. Yeah, no shit, right? That would be a good slogan to have.
there's something to be said about this too. Some people at some places really kick ass. Those guys are dominating Freedom All. They're obviously good outdoors, but they're dominating Freedom All. But like even the mini rod class.
Yeah, they came in the mini rod, won a championship in it. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But I'm just saying, like specifically, whatever they do, they're good at. But like, look at an event like Rockwell, Iowa, that doesn't have the spotlight that Louisville has, but it's a big pull. The Theobalds in the mini rod class dominate Rockwell, Iowa, like because they just know what to do there and they're good. Like just Louisville's a bigger stage, but this shit happens all the time. Like people do this because everyone works hard.
It doesn't mean anything for a tractor to go from down here to then up here. I mean, how do you think the whole two-wheel drive class felt when Chase won the championship? Things like that just happen in tractor pulling. And I do like Michael's comment here.
Because he's cheating.
Having a Gordon versus Earnhardt style rivalry in pulling is fun for fans. No such thing as bad press. And I kind of agree with that. I like a little bit of button heads and friendly competition. And
you know what I love about all that too is that the Simons respect the Owenses and the Owenses respect the Simons. They all respect each other, but at the end of the day, like fuck, like they want to beat each other's ass in the ground.
And speaking of Wesley Foster, I think Chase has been cheating in the two-wheel drive class. Dad is going to protest Chase unless Chase holds up to his end of the deal and lets Steve finally drive his truck. I would imagine there's a funny backstory to that.
Yeah, I love the Foster family. Whenever this truck was struggling early this summer, Steve said he was going to get it and drive it, and then we started doing good, and he didn't want to drive it no more.
Well, speaking of
Steve, you can drive it at any time. Wesley and Ethan can never drive it, so just it's an open offer anytime you want.
For sure. Speaking of friendly competition at the farm show, I believe we have a third guest.
And there's even more drama. Let's go.
This is the drama 101.
Let's bring him on. Our Saturday night finals pro stock winner, Mr. Shelton. Look at this guy.
There wasn't enough drama in our class, so we switched to another one.
Oh, man.
How you doing this evening, sir?
I've been better. Better, but I'm hanging in there.
Get that flu from Louisville?
Yeah, every one of my family's got it. There's 6 of us that have it.
Can you explain the farm show flu to those that don't understand?
Oh, hell, I think you just run yourself down from drinking too much beer, staying out too late, getting up too early. That when you're around that many people, there's going to be something going around. So here
has
you go.
Nothing to do with the black smoke, does it?
Heck no.
So
it does get rough in Broadbent, though. You start firing them things.
I don't know how you do it.
Gosh,
I don't know how you do it.
John Link he was so funny, man. We're warming up the first night. He's going over there, opening up the doors. He said, "This is how you get cancer. This is how you get off." He's like, he's trying to wrangle everybody outside. He's a trip. He's a great guy.
for sure.
So Reese is it's no secret you and your team won the Pro Stock Championship of the National Farm Machinery Show. That's big for a lot of reasons. It's big because to this podcast, you're a fellow mini rod puller that just jumped into class that's dominated by green tractors, but it's also a big deal because red dominated this farm show and you all came in and, I guess mini rod pulling was just too hard, so you went to do something easy the way it looks, right?
Man, we gained too much weight to be running mini rods.
Welcome to my life, baby.
Yeah, I know it, man.
You would have to do what I do. It's to sell tractors to get lighter.
In all seriousness, the farm show, the Taj Mahal farm show pulling is pro stock. So take us through this. I mean, don't downplay. This is a big deal.
Oh, this is huge. I mean, since me and my brother were younger, watching my dad pull there, the pro stocks have always been. And I don't know what it is about that place, but it erupts when the pro stocks run.
Because they have a finish line.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So what happened? We got to talking about it a couple of years, and then ended up getting in the pro stock class and moved our way over. Last year we kind of sucked in Louisville. My brother had a little issue with his, couldn't get off the line, and we had mine back down on power. Just to that was really my first run on the tractor, no dyno runs or anything. So we didn't really kind of know what we had. Ran it all year, and then towards the end of the year, we finally got the tractor happy. At Bowling Green the second day, we came around and got a podium there, and then my brother ran it down here at Galat in that pro stock, super stock combo class that runs on the East Coast, and won both nights with my tractor. And then so we brought it home and we left it sitting. We said, man, she's running good. We're going to leave it that way. Took it to Freedom Hall, and unfortunately, what happened to my brothers on Wednesday night, it'd been a valve. So having a little issue with that thing. It's been a valve the last two passes, so we're gonna take a really good look at it. But got to mine, and we were sitting there, and y'all know just as well as I do when the track sits for a long time, you're just sitting there like licking your lips in the seat. And unfortunately, the smoke pipe kind of broke, and they were taping it up. And John Link was sitting at the sled. He was next, and when he went to leave the line the first time, and I noticed, when he went to spool it, his tires were moving, so his clutch wasn't holding it back. And I was like, man, that ain't good. Not for him, at least. And he went and did it the second time. And I was like, dadgummit, I hate that.
Yeah, dadgummit, all right. Yeah, okay.
But at the same time, here it is. It's a golden egg for us. My brother climbs up in there. He said, here it is. And I was like, yeah, I know. So he said, don't mess this up. I said, well, I'm damn if I'm going to try to. So you get back to the sled. It's just you're sitting there in Freedom Hall. You just start looking around, and Chase can attest to it. You see all the people, you see everything. And I got that thing rolling and got it up, turning intercooler on.
But before you get it rolling, I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to, because I am absolutely just confused on why this happens. What is the conversation in the roll cage before that tractor leaves the line? I have to know. Like, is it
from my brother?
From anybody. I just want to know what the hell you guys are talking about up here that you couldn't have talked about for 4 hours before that. I'm just saying.
It's just one of them. He gives me a fist bump and says, "Go bust their ass."
Okay, that's good. That's good. He's not telling you how many RPMs to leave at, or how to drive the clutch out, or see that sand pile down there. That's where you gotta
go. No, we tell my sister, because she's a little green. We're telling her when we first started. We were telling each other that intercooler on with this. And then hold it in until this, but my sister would do that now with too. Just there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not like with the mini rods, you get in them and it's you push that sucker and go. These, you make sure you're in the right gear and everything else. But
so can you walk us through the driving? Because I drove a diesel super stock one time. I killed it the first time. I almost choked it out the second time. I'm not trying to give away any of your secrets.
No, there's no secret.
Riding the clutch out, you all throttle, you partial throttle, let the clutch out, then give it throttle. I mean, walk us through that. Yeah. I mean, what you're doing going compared down the track and run like that compared to mini rod.
Yeah. Well, if you notice, most of the time in Freedom Hall, guys are getting after it pretty quick. So it's a short track. You want to try to get after it if you can, if the track can hold it. Well, I basically one thing, there's always a hump there, especially if you're running behind the mod. So I always pull mine forward and I jam the brakes as hard as I can to hold myself forward, so I don't move the chain any when I start to go. And then it's clutch all the way in, and then I start bringing it up. Once I hit 3,500, it's intercooler on, and then I go till I see my magic number. And then once I hit that magic number, I don't know where my throttle's at, but then I start easing off, and then it's a feel thing. That's when you feel it in your foot. Normally you feel it, with your hand in a mini rod or two wheeler, but you just feel it in your foot, and then as fast as you can get it to go and stay hooked, and the better off you are.
So you're doing a little bit of both. You're still giving it throttle and you're riding clutch.
And it depends on where you're at.
What's the magic number?
I can't tell you that one.
Well, I think a lot of it, as you look at the sled back there, you're almost envisioning what's going on with that sled back there, because Vaughn's stuff is so difficult anymore. Like it's so heavy that if you get too much tire speed, it's over with. Like immediately, if you don't really get that first couple of feet out there. And everybody talks about in Louisville how good the track is, and it is good. But mini rods, we always struggled with that end of the track because it's kind of hard there. Pro stock, it really doesn't matter. You guys kind of just sing her up, and it seems like every one of them makes the same pass. They try to get big power and put a big gear in it to go, Yeah.
It's all, the track, I'll be dead honest with you. When we ran on Thursday night versus the track on Saturday night in the finals, it was two totally different methods to get it off the line. When the Tinker Toy ran right before me on Saturday night, and that's the staple of Freedom Hall. Like that is the tractor to beat. About anywhere you go in the country, but Freedom Hall, I don't know what it is, but that tractor's going to the pile 90% of the time. And those are great people. And whenever he ran, Daryl, he got way too much tire speed early, and Colin run up there to me, and I'd been watching, but he said, "Hey man," he said, "drive this thing." He said, "Don't blow the tires off of it." So there's some videos you can watch, and I mean, I literally got my ass out of the seat trying to hold this thing back for ever so many feet trying to get it to hook. But once she hooked and she sat down, and the track was a little bit, because we ran behind the mods, a little different at the starting line, but on out there about 50 feet though, the track was actually better. I moved a little bit of weight up for Saturday night, and it seemed to help. So you just had to find out where it likes it at what part of the track. But those things are dead blame difficult to balance. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. Way harder than a two-wheel drive to balance, and mini rods are mini rods. Most of the time they kind of balance themselves. It's just a matter.
Where they're supposed to be on the front.
Yeah, that's right. But those pro stocks, I mean, you're either perfect, you're on the ground, or you're doing this crap. So,
thinking being off just a little bit on 10,000. I mean, that's interesting.
I mean, we see one weight make a huge difference.
Reese, what the Reds dominated Louisville this year for pro stocks. What do you attest that to?
Hard work, and those boys. When we first wanted to get into pro stock, we didn't really know where to go. We talked to a couple of friends. We talked to Brad Moss, we talked to Kevin Masterson, and then we called Colin Ross. We were looking for something that's we've always wanted to be different in about anything we do, not just the same cookie cutter. And unfortunately, we farm with John Deere equipment here back home, but John Deere there's out of 48 pro stocks, there's going to be over 30 of them are John Deere. So we just wanted to make sure we had something that was just a little bit different than the status quo. So Colin and Kevin, we got with those guys. Rhett had just come out. They just had that new Chaos block. Called them, and that's kind of where we wanted to head. And ironically, people at the farm show were telling us that was the dumbest thing we've ever done. We'll never be able to run with those deers.
That week, like last week, they told you that?
No, that was right when we first bought a pro. We had bought our first pro stock 3 years ago. At the
2 years ago. Was that 2 years ago?
3. It was 3 at the farm show. And we came out that same year, but then we were at the farm show last year. So maybe 2, whatever it is.
It was 2 years ago. It was 2023.
Yes. Yeah. So
that comment didn't age well, did it, Reese?
Well, no. Those motors of ours, they're making really good power, and they're running well. And I think a lot of it, like I said, it's no different than a mini rod and a two-wheeler or anything. You can make all the power in the world, but if you can't get it to the ground, it don't mean nothing.
Yeah, but you're in the pro stock class. You got METOS. I mean, shit, with mini rods, they ain't got no METOSs, you know?
Yeah, I wish the mini rods had METOS. That'd be great.
I know it.
We'd have to run our hitches down 6 inches.
I don't know about all that.
1-inch drawbars.
You were setting up the scene of, you know, you're at the line, you're taking in Freedom Hall, the track's just right, you drive it perfect, you fight that clutch, you bury it into the sand. At that point, did you know it was pull-off time? Pick this story up from there.
Definitely knew. I mean, I knew there was a full pull, and obviously we're coming from alcohol motor spark plug guys, and I've always heard, you know, you don't really want to run these things that much. And my immediate reaction was, I said, I'm not running. I don't want to run. And I bait back in the corner, and you know, we've got a really good, fun rivalry with the Simons. You know, those guys are great. They've got top-notch equipment, run really hard. If you beat the Simons, you know, you've done something. And we all can go back and forth with each other and have a good time. But they're fierce competitors, and it's fun to pull against them, fun to beat them. When they beat us, man, it's congratulations, and we're going to go back and work harder. And I think it's likewise. So sit there, and when Brandon goes, he said, "Hell, I'm running." I said, "Damn, all right." Got me going. I stand there, I kind of looked left, looked right, looked at my brother and Mike Witt and all them standing there, everybody stared at me. And I said, "Well, Mama ain't raised no bitch. Take me outside." So they hooked to me, and we go outside, and I want to go outside because it's cold out there. It was 20 degrees. We can take those leaf blowers, blow 20-degree air on. Not that it's going to do anything to those tractors, I'll be honest, because even the next day at lunchtime, my motor still got heat in it.
No kidding.
So, oh yeah. So
what?
I mean, we didn't. Oh yeah. We as soon as the next day when I went to warm it up to make sure that it was good to run again on Saturday. Yep,
still hot.
Still warm.
Still had
Mama didn't raise no bitch
in it.
No, but that was just all. That's all in good fun with those guys, and there's nothing. Like I say, the only thing is, like, we knew Brandon was hurt. We heard it pop. You know, unfortunately, if you watch some of the replays when he went deep into the pile, you know, if you didn't ramp up the pile and you went straight into it, it kind of unload your back tires. And I think his engine revved up like the 6500, and I think it dropped a valve, and then the rest is history there. So that's.
See, in the drag racing world, your valve springs got weak. You need to put different valve springs on if you want to turn more RPMs, right?
You just don't want to go from a load to that. And,
that's hard on things.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy how that works? Like, those things are so temperamental; they get out of a little bit of a range.
Yeah, the valve training in any diesel engine, I'll tell you right now, is it's rough compared to those Hemis. But they make power.
Why is that though? Explain.
I think it's the vertical geometry.
Well, Chase, think of it this way. Like, I've been paying attention to stuff for a long time. I'm an engine guy, so when I see guys welding a crank gear onto a crankshaft, I'm going, "What are we doing, guys?" And then you're breaking the nose of the crank off. Yeah. I wonder why, right? And you're like, you know, RCD makes this really sweet spline. You know, got a nice hub on there.
But this is
guys do that.
This is an honest question, because Reese, if people don't know, you tune your all's Pro Mod cars and know very much about the spark plug engines. Why are those things hard in valve train, inline 6 diesel? Like, I'm curious.
It's just the geometry of it. I mean, we've started working ourselves over here at the shop trying to figure out ways to make it better. But, you know, when you put these things on a vertical, like, you know, everything's vertical in one of these instead of being laid out in a circle. So the problem is the way they go up and down and the way everything's guided. It's just, it's crude. I mean, you'll have your valve here in your rocker arm, and it'll end up being on this side and on this side as it goes up and down. And it's just
a lot of moving.
It's just rough, but it works.
It's a physics issue.
Yes,
geometry.
Yes.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's geometry in the block. So it's a tough thing to change. I asked Kevin, I'm like, Kevin Campbell, I'm like, "Man, what in the world?" He said, "You think this one's bad?" He said, "Y'all see that Deere motor we work on?" He said, "They're even worse." So I'm like, "Well, I don't ever want one of those." So,
yeah, I mean, if you looked at those heads back in the day, the alcohol heads, there's a push rod. Like, some guys did it because all the ports are usually on one side of the head, right? So you get intake and exhaust on both sides, or on one side. then they'd move them on the other side. Well, when you do that, then you have a push rod running right through the middle of the intake
Really?
port. Like there'd be a sleeve. And oh yeah, it's craziest things you've ever seen. What they do with these
There's
tractor
nothing
engines,
about that
but
thing
I
that
mean,
looks like it should make power. Nothing.
Right.
But dude, there's something serious. There's something serious.
And if you start, you think that, and here's what because I've bounced a lot of ideas off of guys with diesel engines, and they're totally different from a blower motor in every aspect. Like it's a steam engine. You got to keep that thing pumping.
And we're learning.
It's just a totally
we're
different
learning
engine.
too, because we keep bringing our ideas like that we have from our side of the things with with alcohol engines over, and we're like how to find power, and we've got some ideas that we're coming up with, but we don't know if they'll work or not. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a
you better keep them to yourself tractor in no time.
Well, those people have helped us do a lot. So right now, if we can get it going, we're more than welcome. We're happy to see them Red Ones run.
So when it comes to a pull-off situation like that, I mean, you got fans at home that are looking at it, because we all kind of, like, from the puller standpoint, think that there's probably not going to pull it off, right? We're just going to split it. If there's 3, if it gets 4, then you start crunching numbers and guys start doing what they have to do, bumping the sled or the gentleman's handshake and what's going on. I mean, is there any of that stuff that tends to sway a guy a certain direction, whether to, fuck you, I'm going to run this thing?
So, ironically, what had happened on the top end is when we got out, they had asked, and they said, I didn't want to run, just point blank. I mean, like I said, that thing's hot. I was on the way to the finals in a pro stock class. I'll tell each one of y'all this: there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that compares to putting a red tractor or a green, it doesn't matter, one of those, any of them in the pro stock class, into the pile in Freedom Hall. Those fans, Bowling Green, it don't matter. Those fans are wild in there, and they live for basically 2 things: red or green. And there was 3 green pro stocks in that corner when I ran, and I went to the top when I did. And there was people just I could vividly see them right now, just pointing at me, banging on the glasses of their suites, and I'm like, wow, we really did something right here.
That's what the sport needs, shit like that.
And it is, and I mean, that got me pumped up. And I was like, wow, because we've never been a part of anything like that. In 2-wheelers, anything, you can have a Ford, you can have whatever. They don't. They just like to see good runs in the classes that we run prior to running this pro stock. Everybody respects a good run, but there's something about the sheet metal in the farm show that, these old diehard. I mean, you've got people in there that are wearing orange jumpsuits for AGCO. They've got guys in green cowboy hats for John Deere. I mean, it's just insane, the loyalty that these guys have. And so after that, we go outside and they come out, and I didn't want to run, and Peter didn't want to run either. And they, we said, okay, we're not going to run. Well, by that time, they come out there and they say, Brandon Simon's got his helmet on, he's back in the sled. And I said, all right, here we go. I said, I walk out, I told my boys that we got to get this thing in here. We got to go. And initially, the consensus was is that we knew Brandon couldn't get off the line because he was hurt. Unfortunate that he had hurt his engine. Because it'd have been better if we all could have run it off, but I think they decided that I would win the pool, and I said okay, because I went the furthest in the initial pool, but I was only supposed to go half track. Then I think Peter was going to slide in the middle somewhere. Well, Mike Witt, when I'm hooked it on the pin, he come up and he said, Reese, he said, there's 7,000 people in here that want to see a show. He said, somebody needs to make a run. I said, yes, sir.
Oh, did that give you chills?
I just said, yes, sir. Put me to the sled. Let's go. And at the end of the day, it's Mike Witt's show. That the thing about the farm show is it's such an interesting dynamic that nobody has to go. It's not a sanctioning body. It's not an NTPA. It's not a PPL. It's a standalone event, and Mike Witt's he's the man that puts it on, and he does a great job. And we love going there. And if he wants me to go make a pull, I'm gonna make a pull. And at the end of the day, we're all entertainment business. We forget that a lot of times, but without fans in the stands, we're not pulling. This isn't bracket racing, where they all pay their own entry. We gotta have fans.
The bracket racing,
But
not drag racing.
As everybody knows, you went out there and you made a full pass. Did you get kind of scolded by anybody for doing that, or?
there's some people that were upset about it, but I don't think they knew the full story. They didn't understand what Mike would have told me. And that's the whole thing, is that all bets are off when the man allows me to come there. When he tells me he wants me to run, I'm making a run. And I never, even when I was outside, selfish me wasn't thinking about all the fans that sat in there waiting to see a pull off. It would have been very disappointing for them to just see us all go bump the sled.
Are you over there changing the main jet in that thing?
Either.
Yeah, are you over there changing the main jet in it? Maybe adding a little bit more water.
Nope.
I mean, what is the adjustment?
There was nothing. It ran hard the first time. It's going to run hard the second time if it runs.
You know what's here? Here's what's weird. I don't know about this at all. I kind of know, but I don't. I'm not gonna act like I know a whole bunch. But Tyler, imagine a diesel engine that it doesn't matter if it's 12 degrees outside or it's 75 degrees outside or 100 degrees outside. You really don't change it.
Oh, you
just
guys
keep
don't
running,
compensate
no matter
for
what.
elevation at all?
Not a lot.
Really? Is that
You
just
can.
because
How about
you can
that?
a little bit.
there's so much boost
You
going
can.
into the engine that atmospheric difference is such a small player, it's hardly even worth considering.
Exactly.
And an intercooler. That's the big
Intake
thing.
temperature is monitored more and less, and it's always at a constant. So the fuel level always needs to be a constant in a window. Right?
There was a couple of individuals that were a little upset with your decision to put on a show there.
I mean, just like I said, people didn't understand, the backstory and the concept, and right, wrong, or indifferent. I think some people's just emotions are high at the moment. Like all of us, when we're in the heat of the moment competing, everybody's going to say things that they probably shouldn't at times where they wish they wouldn't have. We've all done it.
Sure.
And then I don't fault anybody for it. It's not anything that, I'm going to take on with me that I'm going to be upset, hold a grudge about. But it just did solidify for us and Team Shelton that no matter what, anywhere, anytime, doesn't matter if it's state level or in the farm show, if there's a pull off, our stuff's going to the other end, no matter what.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I feel like we should play like Team America. Yeah.
Only in America.
I love it.
At the end of the day, and we replayed everything in our mind, even from what Brandon, because everybody was like, "Oh, we're mad at Brandon." No, nobody has done anything that's not within the rules, of pulling. So, Brandon, he's got every right to sit there and say, "Yeah, I'm running." He knows he's broke, but man, make a run. Make us do it. We got to run against him on Saturday night. And who knows, his stuff may light and take off, and he's going for the win. He already knows he's probably going to have to work on it.
I tell you what, those guys in a select few, like I see it a lot out of like dinger rinks overseas and everything. If they're the only ones in the pull off, if somebody's broke, they still make a pass no matter what. I mean, I'm in the same boat, and here's my mentality on it. And I'm sponsored and all this stuff, but like we put money into this thing, like I'm gonna try to ride it as many times as I can without it breaking. And if it happens to break, then it was going to break anyways. Kind of mentality, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's fun, right? You want to get it there. You pay all the money and you sit and look at it and you spend all these countless hours on the thing. You want to get on that thing and ride it as much
There
as
is something magical about that. Like, for me, I was just at a region pull that meant nothing. And this is back when we were idiots running 3 mini rods, and not trying to make this about me being like, oh, I want to pull. But we had 3 tractors. I was driving 2 of them. And we made it into the pull-off, and I was the last 2 tractors in the pull-off. And with the second to last tractor, I took the lead, and we were the last class. And my dad's like, all right, we'll bump the sled with the other one. I'm like, sounds good. So I get strapped in, I get backed up to the sled, and the tractor's running. And my dad walks to the roll cage. He opens my visor up, and he goes, "You're the last tractor to run here. And every one of these mother effers is standing up in the stands and nobody's walking out." He goes, "Your ass better lay down a pass." And I was like, oh, okay, then I guess that's what we're doing. And by God, I made a pass and I took the win for myself and finished first and second. And everybody clapped and cheered. And like, those moments are more fun than bumping the sled for sure. So I give you huge props to giving the people what they
There was
came there
people
for.
still waiting
Yeah,
to watch.
like you say,
There were still people.
we're in the
the
entertainment
stands.
business, and I don't know what they do about the sled bump rules, but nobody is ever entertained by a sled bump. So
No.
I feel like you did the right thing through and through for sure.
And
I agree.
I mean, I'll say this: those like the diesels are way different than our alcohol stuff because they hold so much heat. When they get hot, it's a
Sure.
pain. But at the end of the day, the farm show is the biggest pull for a pro stock tractor or a sheet metal tractor in the world. Period. And there's a reason that minis aren't there, and because it's a farm show. There's a reason there's 4 classes of pro stocks.
Were you telling me that 4-engine mod right there isn't farm?
No, that's right. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if we want to be able to keep coming back, they need a show. And like I said, I was selfish in my initial thoughts. But when Mike jumped up there and told me that, I said, "All right, yes, sir. I get it." And there was I didn't say anything to nobody. My guys, Grayson, nobody knew that I was about to make a pass. There I went, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" But it just, end of the day, that's a decision I made right there. Mike kind of made it for me. It wasn't a hard decision for me to make whenever he did that because, like I said, I respect Mike Witt a lot. My dad's been a promoter before. We just like to see the sport grow, and at the end of the day, when a man tells you that, and you look around, and normally people are gone already in there.
They're not there.
When I looked around, I saw those people. I said, "Oh boy, they really want to see something." So we just went out there and laid one down. And I didn't think it would cause any issue because they had already established that I would win. At the end of the day, all it is I'm just risking my stuff to do that. If they would have, if I would have been, if it would have set up that I was going to get second, then I wouldn't have done it because I wouldn't have. Because
you did it for the diehard fans. That's a 4-day event, and I guarantee you there's guys that are there every single day of that 4-day event to watch every single tractor go down the track, and they're not leaving until the last
Reese,
one.
are you willing to talk of what the issue was that it caused you?
Do what?
You said that it caused you like the issues. Are you willing to speak of the issues?
I really don't want to.
Okay.
I just don't want to. At the end of the day, they were settled between us, after the pull, and we're all moving on from them.
So do you think pro stock pull needs more pull offs?
Oh, I love them. I love pull off anything. I love being test puller. Hell, if you let me get to ride down the track, I'm going again. Let's go. I didn't drive all this way just to go down one time. Shoot, that's why I like racing.
That's me, dude.
Keep making runs. So if pulling let me make more runs, and heck, it's all good.
So on a weekend, if you go drag racing, if you go to the finals and win, how many rounds you go? 8.
Yep, mostly it's 4.
Yeah. I'd like to go down the track 8 times a weekend if I could.
Learn a lot
you know what I'm saying? But
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Reese, appreciate you coming on. We're not to discredit your accomplishment, but you're still a mini rod puller at heart. But can you take us through what your all's 2025 plans are, like drag racing? I know you got Gainesville coming up. How much will we see you all pulling this summer? And just, if you know right now, just give the fans a sneak peek of the Shelton Motorsports this year.
I'd say, I've got a little girl coming in May. Me and Adam are jumping on the girl train. I'm glad you are, Adam, because I thought I was going to be the only one with a little girl. Everybody keeps having.
Dude, there's a lot of boys. There's a lot of girls around here. I'm just adding to the fleet.
Oh man, so I was like, man, yeah.
When's your all due dates? What is it?
Mine's May 22nd, and I think my brother's. I think they're going to induce Hannah on the 31st of March. So.
And then Adam,
they're coming pretty quick.
7-11
July.
7-11.
Adam's July. Lily Ross or Stacy is June, I think. So
stacking them in there.
So
yeah,
stacking them in there.
So what's the plan? To just kind of play that out and see where it goes? Or?
I think Farley will be our first event, most likely. We'll bring the whole shebang to Farley, and then
whatever you can win with.
Well, yeah, heck, we'll try everything.
Everything.
Yeah, we don't plan on coming to donate. So
I love it.
Well, I love it. I don't think anybody on this whole little deal here is donating.
I won't Chase. Why you only got one mini rod entered?
Well, the entry's still open.
Come on, get in there.
He can't sell it.
Get in there.
His teammates secretly coming to the pool.
I don't like more headaches than I can't control. So
I'll help you. Come on, man.
As a sign off, and congratulations. Appreciate you coming on here. Reese, you're a great friend. You're a mini rod puller at heart. You're a brother to all of us. We have to ask this question. Is it easier to win a pro stock class or a mini rod class?
Mini rod class.
It's easier to win mini rod class.
I'm gonna hurt your feelings by saying that, but I mean, I'm not.
It's okay. That's okay.
Now, hang on a minute. I will say, like these new tires have been an equalizer. It's been a game changer. Back with the old tires, shoot. Okay. If you got some good power and you got to get it set up, I would put money on our tractors at Chapel Hill any day of the week.
It's easier to win a pro stock or mini rod class.
Easier to win a mini rod class.
It's easier to win. Got it.
Okay.
Because you can
except with the new tires.
Yeah, but I can put somebody that's Tanner Nelson size in a mini rod and look out.
That's fair.
The story is we should not get in pro stocks.
I want you to get in pro stocks.
More of the story is there's only two people on this screen that are not going to probably win a pull inside Louisville at the Farm Machinery Show, and it's me and Tyler.
Oh man! But at the end of the day, not if you just all pulling stuff. I mean, that 2-wheel drive class is tough, right, man. Wow. What's easier to win, a 2-wheel drive or a mini rod?
Depends how many beers you have.
Don't answer. Yeah, that's what I thought. But they're all tough.
Don't answer, or else you can be hated by both sides, Chase.
Yeah, no, it's all tough. You're right.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
With your guys' experience in the drag racing world, we talk a lot on this show about what's wrong with this and what's wrong with that. For a change, what's good with it? Like, what could drag racing learn from pulling, and what could pulling learn from drag racing? Like, what are the best things that you see on both sides?
Drag racing would be or what pulling could take from drag racing. Is on the puller side, it'd be, at the end of the day, that this kind of piggybacks off what y'all, I'm not getting into this at all, but tech, drag racing's tech, because it's more commercialized. The NHRA's got a lot of, employees at their disposal. They're able to come and do a lot of teching. And a lot of times you get number one qualifier, you'll see they'll tear the engine down and look at your stuff. So that's an added bonus. Pulling just doesn't have the manpower to be able to do that.
Sure.
But that's something that could help in the future. What could drag racing take from pulling? I've never thought of it in this way, and that's what makes it tough. Just because pulling's really all I've ever known, and drag racing's new. But I think, one thing that pulling could take from drag racing is you got to make your pull like a destination, and make it a place that people want to come to, not just necessarily. The problem is with pulling is you see everywhere you go is a little county fair, but when you go to these drag races and they're set around places that are like large cities with things to go do, places to go eat, and things to do. So like when we go to a drag race, we can basically set dinner reservations, and we all go and eat and have a good time, go to the bar every night, even when we're done. Whereas so we do it all during the day, and then at night, we get to go enjoy ourselves. But fans also get to do the same. So,
Reese, could you imagine if you were a puller and you got to go to a big city and you had to make one hook and not 4 runs a day? You didn't have to be at the damn drag strip at 6 o'clock in the morning to be there until 10 o'clock at night. You could absolutely do whatever you wanted all day long until you had to go pull. Except drink, because we don't do that.
Hot dog cookers.
That's right. But at the end of the day, it's if you look at like Bradenton, Florida right now, I think and the entertainment side, you look at what Wes Buck's doing down in Florida and how it's real flashy and what's kind of going on. I think there's a space. And I think RJ's trying to, incorporate that platform in Farley. And I hope it works well for him. But the cool.
RJ needs to move to Florida.
Well, no. And I hope it all works. But what Bradenton has for it is that Bradenton has the only track that ever gets warm enough in the winter for all the racers to be able to run on. So they've got like a niche market there that everybody's got to go. It's kind of like Louisville in all
Just
respects.
warm enough. That sounds like the track is always really good.
Yeah, very. So you can run really fast.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to go fast. So we
Right.
hadn't been running as fast as what we need to the last couple of times, but we're going to try to change that next week. So it'll be good.
Going to Bradenton in the wintertime, good track conditions. What would you compare that to as a pulling track at whatever best time in the year?
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, baby.
Chapel
good
Hill.
Right. That's one of my favorites too, man. It really
that's
is.
an awesome track. I love that place.
Reese,
I
with
love
you doing so dominant and getting the 2 wins, was there any thought that somebody might protest you?
No, sir. Listen, anybody can do what they want, but like I've told many people with those things. It's not like when we checked the first time in Bowling Green, they were asking us where this is, and I said, "Heck, I don't know. Show it to me."
I remember being next to you in the tech barn. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And like, we don't know, and we know a lot more about them now. But I mean, in all honesty, like I said, we've got a lot of faith in our chassis builders. It's built to correct, built to spec, and we believe that. And we don't want to win if it isn't the right way. So
absolutely,
we're not going to do that, because once you put a blemish on your name that way, you'll never hold any credit in the.
To be clear, I said that question with the utmost sarcasm. I'm not trying
I know. No, but I mean, I'll be honest. You can ask most of us. We know we trust these chassis builders to build us things, and they do. They've got a reputation to uphold.
And you guys have taken three different tractors from different people and kind of push them through one envelope, and they have to make things right. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. What exactly did happen with Camille's? Was something with the clutch?
So no, what it is our fault. So what happened is when we put the throttle cable on there, we didn't actually check it. The same one was sent that was put on Chance's tractor. I'm not sure if our guys put a different clevis on it or not. I hadn't gotten to the bottom of that. I hadn't been able to go to the shop. I've been sick. So, but anyways, when she would go with it, it just wouldn't bring it all the way. It wouldn't go all the way up. So it would hold.
And maybe express to these guys, because maybe they would know, that throttle is probably harder to push than any 4-engine model.
Oh man, it's got like resistance. Like nobody ever. Whenever you got one, like anything that we all have, you can push them. But
mini rod, nothing. I mean, it's like the feather on your hand. A 4-engine mod, it does have some stuff
pulling for,
right?
mostly dirt. To throw dirt all in those damn
Diesel, the throttle is so tight on those things, dude. It's like you got a clutch that's really tight that you got to almost not lock your leg out, but you got to push hard on it, and a throttle equally as hard. Like you're really pushing on it hard. So I saw her say like, "Hey, this thing isn't working."
She was
right,
hitting the stop, and it wasn't doing nothing. So she was doing her job. It was really our fault. But then the second time, we didn't know this either, and Kevin Masterson told us after. He said that the tack, we have a standard tack on those. I'm actually putting fuel tech on both those tractors, or my brother's and her tractor, and didn't get them in time. We had a standard tack on. And Kevin said that the standard tack doesn't read right with one of those pro stocks. He gets up there and starts doing all this number. She saw a number she thought when it went, and when Camille went to let off the clutch, it just wasn't where it needed to be, and nothing that her fault at all. Like I said, we cost her first attempt, and then the second attempt, she had a lot of stuff going on in front of her when me and Colin are trying to get it crunk and then run it and get a pin in it and you name it. So it was unfortunate for her. We wanted to see her do well, but it's okay.
There's no doubt that you guys have all three of those running really good all the time.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get on a test track somewhere, get her a couple laps in, maybe up at Chaos, get her.
No practice,
that's
brother.
All right. Hey,
no
we
practice.
won't call it practice.
He's a drag racer now. He's just
Isn't that what those dynos are for? Don't you go to those dynos in that practice? I mean,
he's been drag raced. He's not one of us now.
Dude,
we're going
before
testing.
all this started, Chase, you used to have test days at your dad blame house.
It's true.
During COVID.
I will say this.
What's the difference?
For you guys, for
I agree,
pulling, like you have to travel over hills before you go to events, so you kind of want to know it's going to go before you go.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're getting ready to drive like 14 hours. You might want to see if it goes.
Well, the big thing for
you
her
know.
is the next time she gets in the seat, we want to make sure it's going to do what it's supposed to do. That way, she starts building confidence in her tractor.
She's a good driver.
She'll be
man.
good.
She
she'll
really
be
is.
just fine. It's just we got to give her something to work with. So
I
we'll work hard at that.
I gotta say, I think her
still
tractor is
here.
one of the coolest looking pro stocks in the class.
Oh, it turned out sweet.
All y'all stuff was nice.
4.9, Bill. But at the end of the day, she that tractor when we first got it, we were a little skeptical, but once we started laying the paint to it, our guys in the shop did all the paint and body work, and they did a really good job. And I was tickled with the outcome. It's unique. It's different than what you see standard, and it's amazing what a little bit of sheet metal on the bottom will do to one. I swear, but we're tickled with that tractor.
Yeah. Well, brother, congratulations to you and your family. I'm going to argue that winning the Saturday night finals of Pro Stock is probably the biggest motorsport accomplishment y'all ever had. But Stan's not in here to defend himself, so
those wallies are hard to come by too. I tell you what, at the end of the day, a win in anything that we go do, because we like to do it on the professional level, just like you guys, whether it's pro mod racing, whether it's tractor pulling. If you can do it, on the biggest stage that's there, then there's no other feeling like that. Winning in motorsports. So, we always work so hard for a win, and they're so hard to come by that when they do come to you, it's like it's.
That's
awesome.
why I wore my fire suit to a bar, because I know how hard they are.
Hey,
yes.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
What a tool!
You wore
right?
the PBR.
So hey, you don't bring cameras out after 1 a.m. But yeah. I mean,
who you on the phone with?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Somebody in Vegas.
He undiscloses those people, dude. Like, oh yeah, Chase is calling me after that pull. I guarantee you.
Hey, you ain't calling somebody in Vegas, are you?
No. It was
maybe somebody in Bowling Green. I don't know.
Winning is hard, so the moral of the story is you enjoy it when you do it, because you don't know what will happen again. So
that's right.
Yes, congrats to both of you on representing.
Congrats to your family. And Reese, thoughts and prayers to you and your family. I know you lost your grandmother the other day. We don't want to act like we don't want to acknowledge that. So thoughts and prayers to y'all, and much love to your family. Y'all are true ambassadors for the sport of pulling and motorsports in general. So look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Yes, looking forward to running against you in Farley, and you're not coming for donations. I like it, buddy.
No, heck no. We don't drive that. He said we got to cross all them hills. Shoot, we don't do it for nothing.
You ain't coming to mess around. That's good stuff.
No, we're coming to play hard, but also have fun. So nice thing about Farley, it's got a bar on site. We can walk back to the hop.
Yeah, buddy.
Win or lose.
So
all right,
guys.
Cheers, man. Good luck in the track trip. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for giving us your time.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Phew. Have we ever gone over 2.5 hours before?
I think that guy.
No, but those like we just put 3 episodes in one.
Yeah,
we kind of did, but
I don't care what anybody's saying.
We selfishly had so many things to touch on, and I got to thank everybody for coming on. And if my takeaway is, I don't think the Simons are cheaters. I don't think they cheated, and I also respect Dylan Owens for coming on and telling his part of it. So,
my takeaway is this beer is still good.
Geez, Chase, you're really nursing that.
I haven't seen him drinking that often.
Chase, I got to ask, is that still the beer from the suite at Louisville? Is that how slow you're drinking that?
No. So I think I left Louisville. I do a 6 a.m., a noon, and a 6 p.m., so that's my 6 p.m.
Okay.
FYI, if anybody wants to know, if you fill that thing up with beer at Louisville, it's going to cost you more than your ticket.
That's right. Well,
I also got to mention.
I hope this show did not offend anyone. We're here to grow the sport, as we always say. We're not here to fucking fight with people or pick sides.
Sorry for cussing.
The farm show is a big event. Obviously, the magnitude and the emotions of all we've talked about is contributes to that. So we're just here to grow pulling.
I also want to shout out Mr. Kevin Hill. We've seen him commenting on here. He was down at a pull in Florida and got in a motorcycle accident. And I'm glad that he also is out of the hospital. Similar to Bruce, actually. He broke a few ribs.
Wins a pull,
Yeah.
and then doesn't
Yeah.
get to compete the
So,
second day because he was in an
we're
accident.
also glad to see that Mr. Kevin Hill is out of the hospital and also on his slow road to recovery. And shout out to him for tuning in here tonight. Hopefully we could take his mind off that. So
Definitely so. Get well soon, Kevin. So
where else do we go with that?
I guess we'll see each other in a couple of weeks. And Bruce is out of the hospital. Bruce is out of the hospital. We're back. We can get back in routine and take some momentum into this summer for a challenge. The challenge has been established. Whoever loses the Pullers Championship amongst us, the one winner is going to protest the other two. I think that's the perfect play.
I don't know.
And you got to pay to protest yourself?
If we win, if I plan on winning, so hopefully I don't.
Well, the thing about doing that is that doesn't make for a good show. The beauty of the Hot Chip Challenge, and so this is challenging all of our listeners that have to come up with a contest, is the beauty of the Hot Chip Challenge made for such a good episode. Because, you could watch the loser go through it. And even at Bowling Green, when I sucked the most and I had to put my hand in a mousetrap, no, it wasn't as good as the hot chip, but it was at least something we could do on the show. So everybody put your heads together and come up with some sort of challenge that the loser has to do after the Pullers Championship. And Adam will have to pick one of his tractor and we'll take the average out of both days. Does that seem fair, gentlemen?
We'll discuss.
Okay.
So how will that work, Tyler? If we go to the Pullers Championship and you got two shots, we got to have a side bet between the two of us. What we do?
I mean,
Chase might just randomly bring a second.
Yeah, you never know with that guy.
The entries are locked. I just won't try nothing this. No,
hey, dude, I got 3 tractors. If I got to run the
event, I will at least get down the track. I may not win, but I will get down the track.
Listen, if you guys got the second tractor, maybe we just need to do it so it makes sense for everybody. Don't interrupt the show, but you just bring I have a third tractor I'd like to test out there, make sure it's going to run, and Tyler's got a second one that he can run. And
I don't have a second.
Maybe that's where we make the side bet at. Just a parlay of 3 tractors, 3 hooks, not, you know what I mean?
I don't have a second tractor.
Well,
you got 17 engines in that unit, brother. You can put one on a mini rod chassis to make a pack.
One thing about it is we have several weeks to decide. And if there's one thing we suck at on this show, it's saying goodbye. But given that we're at 2 hours and 41 minutes, what do you think we just say goodbye, gentlemen?
I think it's time to set a record. Love you guys.
Yep.
Glad Bruce is out. Adam, thoughts and prayers to your family, to your uncle.
And Chase, congrats on that big win, brother.
Thank you all. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
See you guys.
That's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Practice Podcast.
Have a good one. Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we guarantee there still won't be any practice.